Well, it's hot and extremely humid here in eastern Ontario on this Saturday evening. As you saw, thunderstorms on the way as we come live to Frank Clair Stadium here at Lansdowne Park. The 1-2 Ottawa Renegades, a loss to Edmonton, that huge upset win over Montreal, and a strong effort last week against the still unbeaten BC Lions. The loss, the win over Winnipeg, both these teams looking for their second win of this 2005 season. Good evening from Ottawa. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome to the CFL on CBC. Listen, I know it's Calgary and Ottawa, so you hesitate to say big game, but this is a big game just for these two teams, but for other teams in the Canadian Football League. As usual, with me tonight, Sean Millington, Greg Frères, and Darren Flutie. You agree this is a big game?
I definitely agree. It's very important for both these football teams, and it's going to affect other teams within the league also. But I'm looking at this Calgary team that had the two biggest signings of the offseason. They had Henry Burris at quarterback and Jermaine Copeland, and this was going to be their magic formula to an offensive explosion in Calgary. Well, it's only produced 29 points in 2 games, but I think against this Ottawa defense today that has let up the most points and the most yards passing per game, I think Henry Burris, Jermaine Copeland, and Nate Lewis are really going to pick on Greg Moss at cornerback today.
Well, I think we're going to see playoff intensity on this field because I believe that there's playoff implications here tonight.
It's week 4.
Well, I know it may be a little bit too early to be able to think about the playoffs, but let's face it. The Calgary Stampeders and the Ottawa Renegades, they're going to be fighting for the 5th and 6th spot in the playoffs. And so, as an example, Calgary needs to beat teams like Winnipeg, like Hamilton, like the Ottawa Renegades. I know every game is important, but these are must-wins. The players know this, and you're going to see that intensity on this field.
Well, Greg, the brother to intensity is execution. And in order for the Stamps to be successful tonight, they're going to need Henry Burris to execute their offense more effectively. Calgary needs the Henry Burris who went 5 for 6 last year with the Rough Riders down the stretch. Conversely, Pat Woodcock is the guy to watch for the Ottawa Renegades, a high-profile signing last year who thus far has been underutilized, and if the Gates can somehow get the speedy receiver on track, they'll go a long way to improving their chances, both for tonight and for the rest of the season.
You know, you talk about Calgary, they want to be the crossover team in the playoffs should Hamilton and Ottawa miss it. Ottawa, if they go to 2-2 tonight, Hamilton's 0-2. They're in tough tomorrow at Saskatchewan, home to the BC Lions next Saturday. Right now, let's go out on the field behind us. The rain is yet to come, and we join Elliot Freeman.
Brian, with Kerry Joseph off to a great start this season, other people are raving about you, Kerry. You're passing, you're leading your team in rushing. Are you, though, up to the goals that you have set for yourself?
No, I'm not. I still feel I got a lot of, football I can play, better football. So I just try to keep improving day in and day out and try to get better and try to help my team.
You know, Kerry, you've been sacked 16 times so far this year. Another offensive line combination for you tonight. Is it make it difficult to be successful offensively with this team?
No, it doesn't. And I don't even think about that. I go out and try to focus in on the things I can. And we put all the faith in the guys, whoever it is, lined up in front of us. And we just have all the confidence that they're going to get a job done.
You know, you're going up against a good friend of yours tonight, John Grace. What's the friendship like between the two of you guys?
It's pretty good. Me and John, we joke a lot. We talk a lot in the offseason and everything. He's a good guy, great football player. And it's kind of, interesting to go out there and battle against a guy like that competes every play.
Looking for the bragging rights tonight. Thanks, Kerry.
All right, thank you.
Brian?
I said it last week. Eric Tillman pointed out, remember, he's a former defensive back with Seattle, running back with Washington, running back in the European League. He's new to the quarterback position since he's been away from college, but he's got poise. He's a veteran.
He has experience at this point, and he's in great shape this year. He's not banged up like he was last year. I think he's played extremely well. He's only thrown for 711 yards. He has 3 TDs, 3 interceptions, very average stats. But as Elliot mentioned, he leads his team in rushing. I think that's important with all the weapons they have offensively, Armstead and Murphy. You throw a running quarterback that is also very accurate with his arm. I think you have some talent on offense that can get some things done.
I hope he's in shape because he's been running for his life. 16 sacks. He's flat on his back. He can't see downfield because he's looking straight into the sky. What he needs to do, he cannot be the leading rusher for the Ottawa Renegades, and that's what he is right now. What he needs to do is be able to get some time. That offensive line has got to shore up and become better, give him time to look downfield.
All right, let's talk about the running backs. You talk about the offensive line. If they're going to take some pressure off Joseph, why isn't Ronick getting the football? Why isn't Woodcock getting the football? He's not a running back, but Ronick is.
Well, I think, Brian, they have to do what they did last year, and they need to get a little bit more creative. If your offensive line is having some challenges, you need to get the running back out there with little shovel passes, maybe little passes out into the flat. Just, it's basically a long handoff. That takes some pressure off the O-line because now the defense can't come charging upfield. because the running back's going to release and get the ball.
Sean, I like what they've done, though. They've taken their best offensive lineman Ottawa has in Val St. Germain, and they moved him out to left tackle, the most important position along the offensive line, the blind side to the quarterback when he takes that drop as a right-hander. So they put Val St. Germain there. Their trouble is going to be at right tackle with Ibrahim Khan out at right tackle going against Abdullah all day because he's a speed rusher, and I'm not sure Khan's ready for him today.
I'm kind of frustrated. Right now, this is week 4, and this left tackle need to shuffle around does not need to have happened because they had a guy, Alex Goche, in 2002. He was their first pick when the team came back in to the league. And all of a sudden, he's saying this ownership here in Ottawa, it's not looking too solid. He goes to Calgary. He was a left tackle. They also have a guy, Seth Dittman, who was here in Ottawa. He lives here in Ottawa, played left tackle, and why is he not coming in? He's way up on the growth curve. He can come right in and fit in.
And Greg, I agree with you. Like, look at, they went after Ed Hervey. They were willing to spend all sorts of big cash going after a guy like that when they know that they have existing problems on the offensive line. Why were there not 3, 4, 5, 6 offensive linemen in camp trying out for the position?
All right, we talk offense with Ottawa. There's been a big change defensively here in the capital.
Yeah, Greg Marshall is the defensive coordinator now for the Renegades, and he's done a great job back there. He's got a veteran like Gerald Vaughn, who we won't see tonight, but I had a chance to talk with Gerald before the game today, and he says this secondary is very solid. He says teams have tended to pick on Moss a little bit because of his size, but they're all very athletic, and we know the pressure they can get up front with Collier's 5 sacks
An
last week.
interesting storyline is that Tom Higgins, the head coach for the Calgary Stampeders, knows Greg Marshall very well. They were together in Edmonton, and now all of a sudden they're going on opposite sides of the field. And look for Tom to be able to throw a ton of different looks at this secondary. Look for multiple formations. Steve Bratto, their offensive coordinator, is one of the most creative offensive coordinators out there in the CFL, and that's going to keep Greg Marshall and their secondary guessing.
Well, the thunderstorms have yet to arrive. We are going to take a break. As we go to commercial, there's a tremendous football history in this city. A tradition of great players like Tony Gabriel and Russ Jackson. They've also had nutty and wacky owners like the Glebermans. And guess what? They're back. We'll talk more about that after this. Dark skies. We've had several bolts of lightning in the area. Thunder, by the way, the referee will make the decision should lightning become a problem here tonight as to whether or not they postpone this football game. But right now, all systems are go. Well, as I said, you know, Russ Jackson, Whit Tucker, Ronnie Stewart, there's a tremendous football tradition, Frank Clare, in this capital region. They've also had some of the nuttiest and wackiest owners. Remember Horn Chen? They actually drafted a dead football player. And of course, included among the wacky, you have to list Bernie and Lonnie Gleberman. Well, it's 2005, and you guessed it, the Glebermans are back here in the Ottawa area. The glory years of the Ottawa Rough Riders produced some of the most enduring images in the league's history and some of the greatest players in CFL history. In the early 90s, though, owners Lonnie and Bernie Gleberman from Detroit would preside over a period of mismanagement and meddling personified by the signing of disgraced NFLer Dexter Manley. The team would soldier on until 1996 when the Riders played their last game at Frank Clare Stadium. 6 years later brought new ownership. The CFL came back here. Now dubbed the Renegades, the team is yet to produce a winning season. Last year's promising start went south after mounting injuries, and behind-the-scenes money woes hobbled the team. The Glebermans are back, Lonnie and his father Bernie, and they hope the future of the Canadian Football League will be strong once again here in the nation's capital. Now, the panel will weigh in on the Glebermans here in just a minute, but right now, let's go out in the field behind us. I'm not sure if he's still standing. Lightning and high wind. We join Elliot Friedman. Elliot?
Still here, Brian, and Lonnie was just saying he'd seen a tornado in Shreveport before, so this is nothing to him. You know,
This is my, we had the tornado whip through, right? League didn't call the game till after our punt got blocked, but that's okay.
oh, now we hear the thunder coming in the background. You know, under 20,000, it looks like again today. There are questions about the attendance here through 2 games in. Are you worried about the Ottawa fans reacting to your return?
No, I think it's going fine. It's a long step process. It's going to take a couple years. It's 1 game at a time, 1 week at a time. We just stay focused doing our job, which is to bring the fans back to the games.
How are you going to be able to do it then?
Just win their hearts, win their minds, aggressive advertising campaign, aggressive marketing campaign with the players and cheerleaders, make it fun, make it affordable, and keep it focused.
All right, there's a situation this week, and I wanted to ask you about Tom Wright. He's deciding upon his future as the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. Are the Renegades a team that want to see him stay in charge?
Yeah, we support Tom Wright. You know, Tom's got a very difficult job running the Canadian Football League, and I think he's done a good job. League revenues, from what we can see, have grown dramatically over the last 3 years, and that's a credit to the league office. So we should keep the ship sailing, not make a lot of changes, and just stay focused and move along. But, you know, Tom deserves credit for the good things that have happened to the league.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you.
Brian?
All right, thank you, Elliot. You know, I have to ask, Calgary, with new ownership, brought back Jim Barker, a very smart move. Why haven't the Gleibermans brought back Eric Tillman? Tillman knows talent. And when you talk about the Gleibermans, I'm as tough on them as anyone, but they did do one thing when they were here last time.
Yeah, you know what they do, Brian, is they pay their bills.
Yes.
And those of us that have lived through the 90s and played in the CFL in the 90s, we know that's very important to keep your franchise alive and to keep your athletes happy. But I'll tell you what, the one thing that worries me, and they made a lot of mistakes back there in the 90s, is that they get too involved in the day-to-day operations of football. I really feel strongly, and the record is there, that owners should run the team from a distance, let their coaches and general managers run everything, and back off. And that's what they've done in Calgary. That's a contrast. Calgary owners are doing that.
Well, I hope that they have all the success in the world here in the CFL. But what bothers me with this transition in ownership is that it happened so late. It happened just as the season started. Conversely, in Calgary, what you saw is that in the late 2004, they made the transition. They were crisp so that they could start their marketing campaigns right away in January, and that's why they were able to get into the community, be able to get that positive momentum back in Calgary. Here in Ottawa, they're just starting to initiate that right now, and it's no surprise to me that it's going to take some time to get people back in the stands.
Well, guys, I think we need to give them a lot of credit. I mean, when somebody comes to you as a business opportunity and says, hey, you know, you can come in, you can join the CFL, you're going to lose millions your first year, there's already a huge debt that you're going to have to take on, and then you're going to go into it the next year and potentially have another large debt. The Gleibermans were willing to take that on.
That's a very good point,
I've got to
Sean.
give them credit for that.
That is a tremendous point, and you also hope that they have learned from the mistakes. I mean, their experience. We talk about that with football players all the time. Boy, he has struggled in the past, maybe last year as a quarterback, and they come back and learn from their mistakes. I think that what he says, he's learned from his mistakes.
I mentioned Horn Chen. They were far better than Horn Chen, and they did not draft a dead player. There's a live former player up in the booth right now. Let's head up to the team that will call the game with Mark Lee. Here's Chris Walby. Chris and Mark.
Thank you, Brian. Well, Ottawa rush end Anthony Collier tied a CFL record last week with 5 quarterback sacks against BC's Dave Dickinson. But Ottawa football fans will not get a chance to see Collier wreak havoc here tonight. That's because he's been bumped from the starting lineup, Chris.
Well, the biggest thing about Collier, you have to remember one thing. 5 sacks, tied to CFL record. You know what the thing is, as an offensive lineman, I'm going to stick up a little bit for Corey Mantica. I mean, he had one bad arm. He couldn't even extend there. But give the guy credit, 5 sacks. The thing is, he does have a bit of a banged-up knee. What it shows me is that Ottawa has got some great depth at the defensive end position.
Speaking of depth, Kai Ellis comes off the injured list. He's healthy now, and he moves into that starting spot. Can he pick up where Collier left off?
Well, this is a guy they've been wanting to see play healthy. That's the key word, healthy. He's got great promise, but the fact is he's always beat up. He's had ankle, shoulder, he's in training camp, he had a knee injury. But they say this guy, who has 2 sacks this year already, can be a force at the end position, but they got to see him play to make that judgment.
So Kai Ellis in the starting lineup tonight, Brian, at rush end, and he'll have a hard act to follow.
Thank you, Mark. We've just talked to the Weather Bureau. Severe thunderstorms in the forecast for the Capital Region here tonight. A couple of games in the Canadian Football League last night. Just a terrible football game. Sloppy game in Edmonton where the Eskimos defeated Winnipeg 14-12. Let's go to BC Place Stadium. Just under 30,000 just before halftime. Here's Dave Dickinson, 73-yarder to who else but G. Roy Simon. He was 6 for 140 yards, Simon was. BC led Toronto 22-1 at the half. In the third quarter, the Argonauts scored 14 points in 36 seconds, including this touchdown by Jonathan Brown on the turnover by the BC Lions. Dave Dickinson was 26 for 34, 362 yards, 3 touchdowns, including this one to Jason Claremont to make the score 30-15 in the fourth quarter. Less than a minute remaining. BC leads by 8. Argos threatening to score when Hakeem Hill fumbles. BC's Barron Simpson recovers, and the Lions defeat the Toronto Argonauts by a score of 30-22. Some quick comments on the games last night. Sean, let's begin with you.
Brian, I watched the game last night in Edmonton with Winnipeg, and boy, those Edmonton Eskimos were lucky to escape alive. There's just so many errors. I know it's a bad condition. There was rain on the field, but Winnipeg really deserved to win that game, and I was very impressed with Winnipeg's defense. They have a lot of guys from last year's dominant Calgary defense in Winnipeg now, and they put up a fight, even scoring on defense. They did everything they could to win that game, and it was it was very fortunate that Edmonton managed to squeak out with
Well,
it.
and looking at the BC-Toronto game, you know, Toronto's slow starts. Saskatchewan-Toronto was another slow start. Now this BC game that they lost, it was 22-1 going into the half. All of a sudden they figured that, wow, they better do something to be able to make this game close. Damon Allen was sacked 8 times. Brent Johnson, rush end for the BC Lions, had a phenomenal game. Six sacks in 2 games, 3 last night. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, I'm going to skip that Edmonton-Winnipeg game myself. I don't want to talk about that. But what about this Argo offense? We were questioning it coming into the season, questioning it last year, still struggling, how the running backs are really struggling. Avery out of the lineup because of fumbles. What does Hakeem Hill do late? He fumbles, a costly fumble. But also, on the flip side, Dave Ritchie in that BC Lions defense, it looks good, looks like a good move. He's doing a great job.
Darren, maybe it's time for me to come back. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. It's not that desperate. Listen, the PA system was just playing Creedence Clearwater Revival, Bad Moon Rising. There's no Bad Moon Rising, but there's bad weather on the way. We'll take a break. Still to come, we'll hear from Calgary running back Joffrey Reynolds and take a closer look at the Calgary Stampeders as we roll on the CFL on CBC from Frank Clair Stadium in Ottawa. For the Rideau Canal, fans still arriving. That's at the eastern part of the stadium, just east of the stadium. I don't think it's raining there yet. It has now started to rain here at the west end of Frank Clair Stadium at Lansdowne Park. We'll talk about the Calgary Stampeders, but first, as promised, we hear from Joffrey Reynolds, and once again, here's Elliot Friedman. Elliot.
Thanks, Brian. With Joffrey Reynolds, and Joffrey second this week, entering this week in CFL and rushing. You know, you played with the Rams a bit, you played with the Giants a bit. You still look at the National Football League as you succeed with Calgary here in the CFL?
Not really, not right now. You know, I signed with Calgary for 2 years in the option, so you know, right now I'm just working on being productive with Calgary.
You know, there's a bit of a different package we could see tonight with Ronnie Jenkins getting a bit more time. How's that going to affect you and your carries this evening?
It shouldn't. You know, I just, you know, glad to get somebody else involved in the running game. That way, you know, they won't be looking at me as much, you know, are able to key on me. So, you know, Ronnie's a, you know, excellent running back and has great speed, so hopefully he can get some yards.
All right, Henry Burris said this week was the best week of practice the Calgary offense had together. Why was this week so good?
Everybody just looked like they were on the same page. We just, offensive line, receivers were catching balls. Just everything went a lot smoother than the weeks past. So I think we'll be ready to play.
Thank you, Joffrey.
Thank you.
Brian?
All right, Elliot. Greg Frères is the former Calgary Stampeder. How good is Reynolds?
Oh, I think he's the strength. I think he's the star of the Calgary Stampeders right now. Their strength of their team is the offensive line and Joffrey Reynolds. I believe that he is one of the top 2 rushers in the CFL right now. The other is Corey Holmes, who's filling in for Kenton Keith. He's rushed for 188 yards in 2 games, and he's doing a tremendous job.
I think he just said it also. Joffrey Reynolds just mentioned the fact that Ronnie Jenkins is coming into this game, and defensive coordinators, especially a guy like Greg Marshall, are not dumb guys. If he's had a good couple of football games, they're going to focus on Joffrey Reynolds. So you bring in a guy like Ronnie Jenkins who's explosive, can catch the ball, maybe take a little pressure off Reynolds, and I think it's a great idea and it's perfect timing.
And I also, when you got Tom Higgins who's praising Reynolds and saying that Jenkins, sorry, this is a guy who he really believes can get some stuff done, I think you got to watch, because he's watching him every day in practice and he sees stuff that the media is not necessarily going to be aware of.
Now, yesterday, Greg, we spent some time with Tom Higgins. I said, how good are Reynolds and Jenkins? He said, Kenton Keith and Corey Holmes.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit too early to be able to say that. I was talking to Sean earlier, a little bit presumptuous. But, you know, they are very talented, and what you're going to be able to see is, we talked about some mixed formations. Steve Barato is a very creative offensive coordinator. What you're going to see is Jenkins and Reynolds on the field at the same time. Look for a bunch of misdirections. Steve Barato said he wants to get Jenkins at least 10 to 12 touches tonight.
And Greg, that also opens it up for the passing game downfield.
Yes.
I mean, we've talked about Burris and Copeland needing to get on track, and I think that if Reynolds and Jenkins can get themselves going, maybe, you know, get the running games being successful early on, that's going to allow Burris to get the ball downfield.
Let me jump in here. We'll talk more about Calgary because we got a lot of time now. Our executive producer, Trevor Pilling, has just told me, Trevor, you say the game has been delayed because of lightning and heavy rain. The rain absolutely teeming down now here at Frank Clair Stadium. So, as I said earlier, the referee makes the call as to whether the game is delayed or postponed. There's a lot of lightning in the area. The forecast is for severe thunderstorms, but as of right now, we are under a delay here at Frank Clair Stadium in Ottawa. So as they decide just how long this delay will be. We continue to talk about the Calgary Stampeders. Let me talk about this Calgary defense. I mean, you know, everyone dumps on Matt Dunnigan, but last year Dunnigan had one of the best defenses, Greg Frères, in the Canadian Football League.
And you really have to give credit to Denny Crehan, and he brought in that 34 defense and have had tremendous success. They were just behind Montreal in takeaways. They had 65 takeaways 2004. Montreal had 66. This year they are at the bottom in the CFL in takeaways. The only turnover that they've had is actually on special teams. So they actually are not putting their offense in the type of scoring positions that they did last year.
And Greg, look at the kind of players that they've lost. Last year they had Evans, they had Fields, Wes Lysak, Joe Fleming, to name a few. These are guys who are the heart and soul of the defense, and they've gone over to Winnipeg, and now mysteriously all of a sudden Winnipeg's defense, I was praising them earlier, they played Edmonton very tough, and that was reminiscent of the type of defense we saw out of Calgary last year.
Now Flutie's sitting here and he's saying defense, schmefense, and we've heard enough about the running backs. I want to talk about the receivers in particular.
Receivers don't do anything, Brian, come on now, you know.
The big offseason acquisition in Jermaine Copeland. Higgins saying yesterday he hasn't done that much on the field, but his presence off the field has made a tremendous difference to this team.
Yeah, he is. He's one of those guys that he's been in this league, he's been successful, that the young guys are going to listen to. Certainly that receiving core is going to pay attention to everything Jermaine Copeland does. He's much like a Matt Dominguez or a Travis Moore, that type of receiver. But I'll tell you what, when we were talking with Jim Barker earlier today, the one thing, they have the weapons. They have the weapons at running back. They have the receivers that can get it done. They need Henry Burris to get on the same page with these guys and start being effective immediately.
And a lot of pressure has obviously fallen on Henry Burris, but what he said to us earlier this week is that he's starting to be able to understand the body language of his receivers. He knows when they're going to get into a cut, and he's able to throw the ball early. Now that can be the difference of being able to have a completion or an incompletion. Earlier in the season, he was waiting until they had gotten into their break and then delivering the ball, but that gives the defender time to be able to catch up, bat the ball down, and all of a sudden they're not moving the chains.
And Greg, also that one of the factors is that they've had a great week of practice. Henry has said that they've been having a lot of completions. He's gotten together with his receivers. They know where they want to go with the ball, and I think that, you know, that plays out on game day. If you come into a game feeling confident, everything's been working for you during the practices, you're definitely going to have a better outing when you come on the field.
Let me just alert viewers across the country, if you're just joining us, approaching 5 o'clock in Calgary, 7 o'clock here in the Eastern Time Zone. There is a delay they expect of about 10 or 15 minutes because of heavy rain, lightning, and thunder here in the Ottawa area. The referee makes the call, so we will continue on talking about both teams. I talked about the defense. Be a little more specific. How about this Calgary secondary?
Well, Calgary secondary is different, but, you know, they really struggled man-to-man coverage last year. They are basically a blitzing zone behind team, and that's basically what I think you're going to see here tonight. Their front seven is very good, and it's been consistent from last year to this year. They are going to be bringing a ton of stunts, pressures onto this inexperienced, not producing offensive line. In the back, you're going to see a lot of zone from the secondary, and you don't need to have a lot of experience to play zones in the CFL.
All right, very quickly, because Elliott's standing by, I think, with the referee. Very quickly. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say John Grace with 10 tackles on the year and only 2 games, and Scott Coe, who's flies all over the field, are their 2 most impressive defensive players to me.
Absolutely.
I see out behind me Elliot Friedman with the referee, a rain-lightning delay. What's the story here, Elliot?
Well, with Glenn Johnson, and Glenn, can you tell us what the status of the game is at this point?
Yeah, we're going to delay the start of the game until the lightning passes through. We're expecting it'll be another 10 or 15 minutes, but we're definitely not going to start the game while there's lightning in the area.
Okay, and I guess one of the coaches was told they'll be given a 10-minute warm-up as to when. How does the process work here?
Yeah, once we're ready to go and decide we're ready to start the game, we'll give each team 10 minutes to get out, loosen up, warm up. We don't want anybody to get hurt either, so, and hopefully give you guys some time to get ready. So.
And get dry, maybe. Thank you very much, Glenn. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Brian?
Thank you, Elliot. The Ottawa Renegades, this is videotape about maybe 6-8 minutes ago, going back into their dressing room. Darren Flutie, let me ask you as a former player, in fact all 3 of you weigh in, what does this do to a team as they've prepared to start at a particular time?
Yeah, I mean, well, you've prepared to start at this time, you gotten all revved up, got your body ready for this moment. I'll tell you, it's different for different people. I think the younger guys, a little bit nervous about what they have to do tonight. They're like saying, well, maybe they'll cancel this and have another week of practice and we can do it next week. The guys that really want to play, the veteran guys that are just not chomping at the bit to get out there, they want to get out there and play the game right now.
And I didn't like it because you spend all this time halftime, pregame, getting yourself warmed up, and then it gets cold, your body gets cold, and it just gets you out of the rhythm. I never liked the delays of game.
I like to echo what you said, Greg. We had a game where it's late in the it's overtime. We've got the fans who've just rushed the field, and okay, everybody into the locker room. We got to settle everybody down, come back out. But you spend 15 minutes extra in the locker room. Like you said, your body starts to stiffen up. You mentally start to lose a little bit of your focus just because it's hard to maintain that. You have a routine that's established. Exactly. You're used to being out. We play. Here's halftime. We play. The game's over, and then we're done. And all of a sudden now we have a break. For whatever reason, it totally messes with your routine.
And like Darren was saying, players prepare for games in different ways. I was very regimented. I had to do A, B, and C.
You still
got
are.
Got me into the frame of mind to be able to play, and this really threw me way off, and so it really bothered me. Guy like Darren, he shows up 5 minutes before the game. He's ready to go.
Great players just play.
Hey, listen,
they just play.
As there's a lightning and thunder, rain delay here in Ottawa, Tom Wright, the commissioner, very much in the news this week as to whether or not they would extend his contract or he would serve out a year. We got a shot of this. This is a recent edition of Time magazine. I mean, the Canadian Football League is so strong after a period of near disaster in the 90s that it makes the front of Time magazine, and yet still these owners, and to me the crucial question is, do owners like David Braley and BC want a puppet, or do they want a real commissioner?
Well, Brian, that is a perfect example of what I think is right and wrong with the CFL. You have a moment in time right now where the CFL has unprecedented popularity, getting a lot of media exposure. Why would you do anything to rock the boat? As far as I'm concerned, Tom Wright is the guy who's been presiding over this rebirth, this renaissance of the CFL. You may have some private issues with him in the back room or whatever, but this is not the place to air it. I don't think there should be any sort of tarnish allowed to come forward, to get out into the media, to get out into the press and have people talking negatively about the CFL when you don't need to have it happen. There's enough situations that arise that you have no control over that are going to negatively impact your game, i.e. a little right cuff from a certain player on another player, without you going out and manufacturing stuff by backstabbing your commissioner who's doing a great job for you.
And as a negative, what ends up trickling down is you have now corporate sponsors who are pulling away from the negotiating tables and saying, let's find out what the CFL table looks like. And that really bothers me, because this league is moving where it should be. And when you have corporate sponsors who are now questioning the direction of this league, who is going to lead this league, that really bothers me and is pulling away from the positive momentum that has been generated by Tom Wright.
That's right. You guys are right on with that stuff, and very specific. But as former players, again, and I know all our fans that were CFL fans in the 90s, we know the troubles we went through, and a lot of that had to do with the commissioners at the time. Not all of it, but some of it had to do with expansion into the States and that type of stuff. Tom Wright has done none of that. He's done things perfectly. The league is flourishing. Let him keep it going.
I was with Jim Hunt. I don't think there's anyone in this country, a sports writer, broadcaster, a legend in Canadian journalism. I was having lunch with Jim Hunt this week, and he said the last commissioner that really had any power or authority was Jake Goddard. And I said, Jim, why is that? And he said, because he was a former owner and knew where the bodies were buried.
Well, and it frustrates me that they just want to have a yes guy. What they want is someone who is going to listen to the advice of the governors and just take it in front of a camera and just be a yes individual. Tom Wright, what he wants is it's stipulated in his contract. How much latitude do I have to be able to make decisions on the salary cap, on all of these issues that we've talked about? And these owners are saying, I don't want to relinquish that control to a commissioner, and that really bothers me. He wants to take this league where it should go, and you got to give him that latitude.
They now say a decision on Wright's future should come sometime next week. Well, it's still raining, skies dark all around us. The fans are still here. Many have headed for cover, others under umbrellas and plastic sheeting. Right now, what do you say we go up to the play-by-play booth? I think it's only fair. Walby and Lee would be working at this time, so we've carried it down here, guys. Let's join Mark Lee and Chris Walby.
Thank you, Brian. The Renegades have gone back into their locker room. The Stampeders have come back out onto the field, and we've just learned that Tom Higgins has told his players, try to treat this like halftime, obviously trying to get them to relax, Chris, before they, they're ready to go?
Well, I think there's a huge factor that hasn't been really talked about, which is surprising because I think the panel covered everything. But they one thing, because of the thunderstorms and the rain coming through, it has really cooled the temperatures off here, and that may be work toward the Stampeders because they came over from the west. It's been hot and muggy. Ottawa's practicing that weather all week. As you say, it was 42, 44 degrees with the Humidex all week. Now Calgary comes here, very hot in the pregame. Now the rain comes, cools it up. I think that might be an advantage for Calgary now.
I've been here in Ottawa all week, and I'll tell you this, officials here at the City of Ottawa and the Canadian Football League will not take any chances because on Thursday night, a local Ottawa citizen was struck by lightning in a similar storm like this and is lucky to be alive right now with a couple of passers-by reviving him. But let's talk about the weather conditions. It is cooling down. Earlier this week, the trainer Steve Diaz for the Renegades was saying that it was 112 degrees Fahrenheit, about 45 degrees Celsius on the field at practice on Tuesday. The Renegades went in full pads for 2.5 hours. They went through something like 16 of those Culligan giant water jugs of water. So I would think the Renegades are perhaps more prepared for these humid conditions than the Stampeders.
Well,
what do you think?
I think both coaches are really going to make sure that their players are hydrated with water, and that doesn't start today. That has to start 2 days ago. You have to get the water in your system. And anybody's coming to the game today who's going to play and think that he can just put a bunch of water in him today and play in a football game, you're going to see him lying on the ground cramping. You've got to flood your water. You've got to hydrate. You've got to make sure you're properly prepared, and that's a huge aspect of today's football game.
Tom Higgins was telling us yesterday that the football club is spending an extra $60,000 this year on travel to the east. They did come in on Thursday night to try to get this team oriented to the 2-hour time zone change and to these humid conditions. Brian, back down to you and your panel.
Thank you, Mark. We talked about ownership. There's another example, Greg Ferns, of how they're doing it right in Calgary. They're spending money to fly these fellas out a day early. You act first class. You treat the players first class. I mean, it's like, remember Danny McManus saying to us last year, the new owner, Bob Young, flew them charter to Regina. That meant so much to the Ticats.
Yeah, it does. You feel the trickle-down effect as a player in the locker room, even in your traveling. You stay at a little bit better hotels. You go out there the day before. And I'm telling you, as players, it makes a big difference. You get a little more rest, do things a little more luxurious, and you see the effects on the field.
Well, Darren, we both played with the BC Lions, and like you referred to earlier in the early 90s. Yeah, Darren is shivering in it just with the memories of it. We stayed in some places that were definitely below par, and despite being a professional,
political way of saying that. Beaten path, let's say.
Despite being professionals, you try to come out and play your hardest. It affects your mindset. You are complaining about it with each other, after meetings. Definitely. You're sitting there going, what is this place? And you come onto the field with a sort of a negative vibe, which I think carries over into your performance, and you just can't help it. So I think what the guys are doing in Calgary is going to be producing a lot of benefits for them. You're going to see more success on the field as a secondary spin-off of that.
While Greg, while Sean was talking, I know the viewers saw me do this. You could see the lightning flying across the sky just over Millington's shoulder. The heavy rain is not the problem. You heard the referee say, until the lightning has cleared the capital region, there's more. This football game will remain on hold. You were going to talk about Calgary?
Well, it trickles out. The negative vibe trickles out to the players, and definitely Sean talked about that, but it also trickles out and gives an impression to your fan base as well. In Calgary, I was always proud to be a Calgary Stampeder because it represented legitimacy. It was an organization that was stable. And when you start doing these things for your players, spending money, the image that you give out to the community is very important. People want to support and be involved with a team that shows legitimacy, and I think that's a nice positive trickle out as well.
Of course, a good trickle out's when they start paying the players more, right, Flutie?
That is very important. Wouldn't you guys agree when they pay the players?
I'm all for a trickle out.
That's fairly important.
Trickle-down effect. It's basic economics 101. We have Ottawa linebacker Jason Kralt mic'd up for this game for our feature All Mic'd Up. Now, we're in a lightning delay here at Frank Clair Stadium in Ottawa, but here is Ottawa linebacker Jason Kralt and the first edition tonight of All Mic'd Up.
What's up, little man? You ready to go? Where's your shoulder pads? Let's play a little lively music here. It's just rain.
This flashy.
Pardon?
This flashy.
Are they flashy? It's all right. Good time for war, buddy.
10-minute warning.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Greg likes that. Good time for war.
It's a defensive player. Love that mentality.
Listen, we should talk. I said earlier, why don't the Gleibermans bring back Eric Tillman, who has a good eye for talent? What about Joe Paopao? Here's Paopao. What did they tell him? He has to win 9 games or he's fired. I mean, I've never heard anything so ridiculous in my life. Either he's a coach or he's not. If he does a bad job, you turf him. If he does a good job, you keep him. But to give him a 9-game deadline, what about the Paopao situation here? You spent some time with him yesterday.
It seems silly, and really, my criticism of Joe Paopao is that he is such a nice guy, and that sounds strange, but here's a team that has been very sloppy. They are the most penalized team in the CFL. They're averaging about 120 yards in penalties each game, and Paopao is the Hawaiian laid back, and that's how he's conducting his practices in the past. Yet this week, he was reported to get into the face of his players. Greg Marshall was into the face of the players. They had a fight in practice, which I was always used to having a fight usually every day at practice, but this intensity needs to roll out, and
he isn't that tough.
Yeah, he needs to start to be able to get away.
The water boy?
Hey! It wasn't me, it was somebody else. But that intensity, he's got to stop from being the laid-back guy and bring that intensity and expect that of his players.
You're right. I think he does, and they set that 9-game mark, and I think the thinking behind that is exactly what Greg said. He's so well liked by his football players. That's why what motivates his players to play so hard for him. And they're thinking, boy, we set 9 games. These players don't want Joe to go. They're going to win 9 football games, but it's the wrong thing to do. It's an incentive in there for the football players, but coach, players play.
Yeah, I don't think it's a fair, fair proposal to say to your coach, hey, you've got a 9-game deadline. I mean, what other coach in the CFL are you going to go to Don Matthews and say, hey, Don, this year you've got to win 9 games? I mean, we know he's going to, but it's not like you set that up in advance. I don't think it's the right way of handling the situation.
And this team is behind the 8 ball all season long, in my opinion. They're being scratching and clawing for every victory. Why do I say that? Is because the ownership took too long to be able to transition, and so there was a freeze on paying players. They did not go out and aggressively get free agents that they needed, and that puts them behind the 8 ball, and he's playing with what he has and doing the best he can.
Exactly, Greg. So if you're put in a situation where you're not given a fair shot to succeed, well, how can you therefore be held accountable for stuff that wasn't your fault? And basically that's what they're saying to Joe Paopao. They're saying, hey, we've given you this sort of malcontent team where things aren't all as they should be, but you're responsible for making sure that they're winners.
As a head coach, Joe Paopao has never made the playoffs.
That's a live shot. Tom Higgins with a white hat, Joe Paopao, the referee, Glenn Johnson, head official Jacques Decaire is there. They are now making I assume a decision. Producer Trevor Pilling is telling me in my ear, if they don't see lightning for the next 60 seconds, you saw him with 1 minute. That's it, Glenn Johnson. If we don't see lightning for 1 minute, we will start this football game in 10 minutes.
And there it goes.
Maybe he was just asking like 1 piece of pizza.
I just saw lightning.
When Paopao and Higgins came out here, there's Elliot Friedman. If we can get Elliot to, as soon as this meeting is over, to get either Higgins, Paopao, or Glenn Johnson, the referee, and find out what's going on. Elliot, if you can hear me, and you can do that. But when Paopao and Higgins came out on the field, there was a huge roar from this crowd. It's still raining and raining heavily. Let's see if Elliot can catch up with either Tom Higgins or he's got Tom Higgins. Elliot, let's go down to you.
All right, thanks very much, Tom. What did the officials just tell you?
Well, this isn't halftime. Player safety is the most important thing that we have occurring right now. And it's supposed to blow over quickly. And if there's no lightning or thunder within 5 minutes, they'll give us a 10-minute warning and we'll kick it off.
What do you do as a coach to keep your players prepared to start when they're expecting to go, I guess, 15 minutes ago?
Well, both teams are in the same situation, so a lot of coaches have done a lot of different things. We're treating this like training camp. We've held a lot of practices because there was some lightning and thunder, so we're just saying, well, it's just like training camp, so just relax and there's nothing you can do about it. The most important thing is to not get excited in the fact that you're not starting.
All right, thank you very much, Tom, and we'll double your pay from the halftime.
Oh, okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Brian?
Elliot, can you hear me, Elliot?
Yes, I can.
Why don't you have an umbrella?
You know why? I didn't want to take the umbrella out there because there's metal in it, and I was worried with the lightning going around, I'd be clobbered.
All right. Elliot Friedman, thank you. We're in a lightning storm delay here at Frank Clair Stadium in Ottawa. Sean Millington, Greg Frères, Darren Flutie, Brian Williams upstairs, Mark Lee and Chris Walby. We just heard from Elliot Friedman along with Tom Higgins. What we are going to do, we alert the stations along the network. We are going to take a commercial break. I think we're still at least probably 10 or 15 minutes away from starting this football game. game. The rain continues. They're waiting for the lightning to move out of the area. We'll take a break as we hopefully tonight will get to see the Calgary Stampeders and the Ottawa Renegades.
And I'm Nick Lewis. Nick Lewis, so you know Nick Lewis, K.O. and J.K.
And this Saturday night, back live at Frank Clair Stadium, Lansdowne Park here in Ottawa, awaiting the start of the game between the Calgary Stampeders and the Ottawa Renegades under a lightning delay. Rain is not the concern. It's the lightning and thunder. This area being buffeted by severe thunderstorms. You heard Glenn Johnson, the referee. You heard from Tom Higgins, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders. They're waiting for a period of 5 minutes when there's no lightning. That's the view to the west, and the sky appears to be getting just a bit brighter down by the horizon there. That's where the storms came from. But you heard Tom Higgins say that Glenn Johnson, the referee, said they're going to wait for a period of 5 minutes when there's no lightning, and then they will kick off 10 minutes after that. Sean Millington, Greg Frères, Darren Flutie with me here in the booth as we continue our extended pregame show. Let's look ahead to tomorrow afternoon. I said when we came on the air, it seems like hours ago now, that this is a big game for Ottawa and Calgary. Ottawa can go 2-2. You know, Hamilton's 0-2, Sean. They play in Saskatchewan tomorrow. They're home to BC next Saturday, then in Edmonton 2 weeks from tonight. It's a huge game tomorrow for the Hamilton Ticats.
Well, this is huge for the Ticats because they could conceivably be 0-5. Nobody wants to start off with that, but especially Hamilton, reminiscent of their, season that they had 2 years ago. They definitely need to get themselves on track, and especially with the Ottawa Renegades right now in the position that they are to go potentially be 2-2. That's going to put Hamilton really behind the 8 ball, and in order to come up to speed, to stay up with everybody else in the East, they need to win that game in Saskatchewan, not just from a standings point of view, but as well from a emotional and, just confidence. I mean, when you start losing games like that, it just starts to spiral out of control. We had the same situation in Winnipeg where we didn't win for our first 10 games, and after a while you just think we're never going to win. And I think definitely for Hamilton right now, they need to get themselves on track and to have some success right away.
And before Greg jumps in here, speaking of Greg's, Greg Marshall did a great job last year, but we talked about the fact that maybe, he set the bar so high, in a way he did himself a disservice this year. Expectations are so high in Hamilton.
Well, again, 1-17, thinking back to 2003, they obviously were a 500 team, 2004, great success, but ultimately I looked at their statistics, and they're a very average team. They have a long ways to improve, and what I saw when we were back in Hamilton against Saskatchewan is that they had no offense. Their receivers were not running routes, they were not selling out for Danny McManus, and they have got to get back on track. They're coming off of a bye. They owe it to their fans, because Bob Young has done a tremendous job in Hamilton rejuvenating the interest in football, and it's a shame that they're not getting what they should get.
Darren, I understand they've started the clock. They're down to 9 minutes, so we're expecting 8:43 now, 8:41. That's how long until kickoff between the Calgary Stampeders and Ottawa. You want to weigh in on Hamilton and Saskatchewan? Hamilton first, so we should talk about Saskatchewan that's let down in their last two games.
It's a rematch from 2 weeks ago where Saskatchewan beat Hamilton, and Eddie Davis had a chance to seal the game and kind of gave up the touchdown to Yeast, but as Greg has touched on a little bit, they're really struggling offensively, and the focus has been on Danny Mack, but we all know it's not one person, even though the quarterback is the focus. I think they're having a lot of trouble at receiver, and I'm not just saying that because I'm an ex-Ticat receiver.
But come on, okay, you guys are talking they're struggling so much on offense, but you're not taking into account Troy Davis. I mean, he was the league's #1 rusher last year. This is a guy who can definitely move the football and get it done, and I think if they can get him a little bit more involved in the program, just the same way we talked about here in Ottawa with Josh Rannick, with the short passes, the shovel passes, that sort of thing, they're going to have a chance to win the game.
I know, Greg, we have to get to commercial. Quick thoughts on Saskatchewan. How about Danny Barrett and the Rough Riders?
Well, and they want to eliminate. They need to play 60 minutes, and I'm sure that he was talking about that all week long. They need to finish drive. They left points on the field against Toronto, and that hurt.
We'll take a break. If you're just joining us, the game should have started some 20-25 minutes ago. The lightning delay has about 6 or 7 minutes to go, and then we should be playing football. Elliot Friedman has just confirmed it. The Calgary Stampeders and the Ottawa Renegades. You're watching the CFL on CBC.
Clair Stadium on a hot, humid, and stormy night in the nation's capital. From Ottawa, we're ready for football. This is the CFL on CBC.
Put a move on him.
It's one of the jewels of the Canadian Football League, Frank Clair Stadium, where tonight the Ottawa Renegades play host to the visiting Calgary Stampeders. Many of Ottawa's faithful taken cover on this wicked stormy night. In Ottawa, the Renegades finding themselves in unusual circumstances as favorites for tonight's game back home for their first game since that spectacular comeback win on Canada Day against Montreal. Good evening, I'm Mark Lee with the big man, Chris Walby. Ottawa's quarterback, Kerry Joseph, is the most sacked quarterback in the early going of this Canadian Football League season. But, Chris, he hasn't been taking it sitting down.
Well, there's a couple of reasons for that, and one is the offensive line. They have not had the same unit in each of the previous 3 games, and again, changes tonight with Val St. Germain going to the left tackle spot. That's been a sore spot. The second one is the fact they have not been able to establish the running game with Ronick. So he's had to hold on to the football, trying to make things happen downfield, and as a result, the sacks are piling up.
And Joseph has led his football team in rushing and leading all quarterbacks in rushing this year. I think that has stimulated this Ottawa offense.
Well, I tell you what, he does whatever it takes. He has now understood that he is the leader. He knows his role in his team, and he'll do whatever it takes to get that team a victory.
Now, Calgary's highly prized and highly priced free agent signing over the offseason, quarterback Henry Burris, has not lived up to the high expectations in Calgary. Do you think, though, he's putting too much pressure on himself?
Well, I think you hit it on the head. The high expectations he's put on himself. I mean, yeah, the people know that he's paid a lot of money and they're expecting victories, but you got to remember, it's only 2 games with the new system. They didn't play much in a preseason. This is game 3. Said they had the best week of practice last week. He says, you know what? Good things should happen on a football field tonight. With this inclement weather, we'll have to see what happens.
We asked Burris about the slow start, and he said he's his own worst critic.
Watch the throwback.
We're embarrassed about the way we played. We haven't scored enough points, and we want to go out there and prove something in this game against Ottawa.
So Henry Burris with lofty goals tonight here in Ottawa. How about your lofty Gillette game notes?
Well, for Calgary, I think it all starts on the offense. Right now, you got to cash in the red zone. 3 times in the red zone in 2 games. They have no touchdowns, had to settle for field goals. That's not going to get you victories. On defense, make Henry or Kerry a pocket passer. That means, you know, Kerry Joseph, we talked about the fact that he's leading a team in rushing. Make him sit back in a pocket and throw the football. On the other side of the coin for Ottawa offensively, you have got to recognize the defense, and you have to be able to get Josh Ronick involved running the football. 9 carries a game is not going to cut it. And on defense, you know what? Burris no rhythm. I'm not talking about the dance floor. Henry Burris has a reputation of a hot and cold quarterback. Don't let him get on fire here tonight, or it'll be a long night for the Renegade defense.
Well, Chris, after a delay of about a half an hour here to the start of this football game because of the lightning storm that passed through the Ottawa Valley, these are the conditions for the start. The kickoff, 27 degrees and extremely humid here on this Saturday evening in Ottawa. The Stampeders 1-1 and sputtering on offense coming into this game. It's a rebuilding year, but the coach Tom Higgins says that's no excuse for losing. When Ottawa started last year 3-0, Joe Paopao cautioned his fans to temper their expectations. This year at 1-2, he's saying the Renegades are better than their record, and with a chance tonight to go 2-2 and move into a second-place tie with the Toronto Argonauts. Kenyon Rambo, the man with the only offensive touchdown for the Stampeders this season, is back to return the opening kickoff as Matt Kellett gets set to go. He's had a bit of a renaissance here in Ottawa since being traded, Chris, on draft day. Good on 7 of 10 field goals, still battling double vision.
Well, the big thing is also the last 7 of 8 field goals. He has been successful inside the 40. He's a perfect 5 for 5.
And back with Rambo is Ronnie Jenkins. Back in the lineup, they call him a man with burst. Extremely fast and extremely quick, Chris, from a dead stop.
Well, the first game they had a good package in for a mark, and they had to pull it out because of a bit of a hamstring. Let's see what he does tonight.
And it is Jenkins from his 19-yard line, coming down the near sideline, puts his head down, and it's Matt Kellett with the tackle for Ottawa on special teams. A 26-yard return for Ronnie Jenkins. Henry Burris, as we've talked throughout the extended pregame show, saying this was his best week in practice. He told us yesterday there were but 10 incompleted passes throughout the entire week of practice. He's raised the bar this year, and he says he's become more accustomed with the body language of his receivers, knowing when they're going to make their breaks, and he thinks he'll be in better sync passing tonight. A bunch formation to the wide side. It's a pitch out. Joffrey Reynolds gets outside. Kai Ellis runs him down with some help from Quincy Coleman, and they take him into the advertising out of bounds.
Well, the bunch formation, 3 receivers tight to that right side offensive tackle, trying to cause some confusion to the Renegade defense. They just do a little sweep action, get to the outside. Henry Burris obviously looking for a big start today for this offense, which has suspension, only 1 touchdown. Jermaine Copeland, how about his stat? 24 touchdowns the past 2 seasons. And Jamie Crysdale in his 208th consecutive football game.
2nd down and 3. Stampeders play action, hitch pass. That was red. Corey Banks all over it for Ottawa, and they'll force Calgary to punt.
Well, that's exactly how you want to start the football game, and the Renegade defense does just that. Kai Ellis with the start, replacing Collier, who had 5 sacks against the BC Lions last week. Keaton Cromartie at the middle linebacker. He's going to have a big game in the middle of that linebacking crew. And Corey Banks, boy, he got a little fisticuffs in practice this last week, fired up the defense, and they've come to play.
Awaiting the punt, there he is, the ever dangerous Jason Armstead. Ran back a punt 75 yards for a touchdown in the season opener against Edmonton. Burke Dales from his 40, a high spiral, good hang time. Armstead waits for it at the 20. Armstead to the near sideline, bounces into his own blocker, and then squirts out of bounds for a short return. A 38-yard punt and an 8-yard return by Armstead. Kerry Joseph has faced a lot of heat in the first 3 games this season. 16 sacks. That's a league worst in that category. But Joseph lost 15 pounds, Chris, over the offseason. Says he wants to be more elusive, wants to have more getaway from these kinds of pass rushes, and he's been a good leader.
Well, I think the fact that he has gotten away from trouble and running the ball effectively, but I still think you got to get Josh Wannick involved in running the football as well.
Ottawa huddled on the sideline, then came right up on the ball. First down. Joseph across the middle, wide open and complete for a big first down. Marcus Howell has the ball for Ottawa.
Well, Marcus Howell, who had a big game last week in BC, 3 catches for 77 yards, picking up right here, finding the hole in the zone, right behind the linebacker, Brian Clark, and in front of the cover man. Nice execution.
Ottawa in their hurry-up offense to start this first offensive series. As we mentioned, they huddled on the sideline before they came out, and they'll call the play over the ball. Joseph. Play action and a great fake. Everybody bought it on the Stampeders side. Joseph, the leading rusher for Ottawa, has a big first down.
The thing that's happening right now is, you know, the Stampeders are looking for number 30, Josh Wannick, to start carrying the football a little more each football game. This is a great fake. Little play action, naked bootleg, gets out to the right side by himself, sheds a couple tackles, and another big first down.
19 yards on the play action carry by Kerry Joseph. And they'll stay on the line, audibling the calls. Joseph at quarterback with 4 receivers to the wide side, a 6-receiver set. throwing the hitch pass. It's complete. Jason Armstead takes it and heads straight upfield with some good blocking. He'll be just shy of another Ottawa first down.
A good thing of just getting it out to the outside. As we take a look at the lineups, Josh Rannick, only 9 carries a football game. That's got to change tonight. Pat Woodcock, no catches last 2 football games. You know number 16 wants to be a factor in this football game. And you can see a good offensive line. Val St. Germain getting the start at left tackle.
Play action again to the near side. Armstead goes down for the football. And it is a complete pass and another Ottawa first down. So these Renegades mixing it up, using some play action early and calling their plays at the line of scrimmage.
And doing a nice job of utilizing the entire football field. Going to the right-hand side on naked bootleg, as you say, going to the left side now, stretching out this 3-4 defense.
First down. And marching now deep into Calgary territory. Joseph in the shotgun. Motion now as Ronick moves to the left side. Straight back to pass. 5-man rush. Joseph beats the first man, throws deep to the end zone. Incomplete. Intended for Marcus Howell, but the rookie Jermaine Chapman reacted just in time to get back and break it up.
Well, Jermaine Chapman made the break on the football. I'd like to see Marcus Howell come back to the football a little bit. He thought he was so wide open, he was just going to wait for the ball to come into his hands, and as a result, he didn't come toward the football. Chapman did, and he was able to break up that play.
The Renegades, in their first huddle of this offensive series, regroup on second down from just outside the 25 of Calgary. Big second and long situation on this promising march. Here's the blitz to the wide side, wide open and overthrown. Jason Armstead was wide open, and the ball was high, and perhaps the rain made that a little slippery to catch.
Well, I think that Kerry Joseph tried to make sure he had enough mustard on that football to get it to Jason Armstead, and then what happened is he actually put too much on, went high. He's not happy with that, but a good drive by this Ottawa Renegade offense. But that's one of those ones he knows, especially with a wide open Armstead, you'd love to have that complete.
So Matt Kellett to attempt this field goal from the 32-yard line. Pat Fleming to hold. The ball is up and off the upright. And so a terrific looking Ottawa open and drive, foiled by a high pass, and now an errant field goal and nothing to show for it. Back in Ottawa, no score as that terrific looking Ottawa drive faltered deep in Calgary territory, and the Stampeders will take over on offense. It's been a sputtering offense, Chris, with Henry Burris throwing 1 touchdown pass so far this year compared with 3 interceptions. Not the kind of ratio you want.
And he's also fumbled the ball a couple times, not to heap the negatives on him, but I think, you know, Henry Burris has challenged himself to respond, and we're going to see what he does this evening.
6 receivers set on first down. Burris, no drop, throws quickly across the middle, and it's knocked down. Intended for Jermaine Copeland and broken up. It looked like Deshaun Austin came across and was airborne to get the ball.
Excellent job at Deshaun Austin to read the seam route. They're just going to put number 80 right down the seam. He's going to throw a dart. He breaks inside, almost comes up with the interception. Excellent reaction by Deshaun Austin.
2nd and 10. Burris admitting that he threw some bad balls in game 1. There were a lot of drop balls in game 2. In game 3, can the quarterback and his receivers get on the same page? 2nd and 10. Ottawa loading up the line of scrimmage with 7 players. Here they come. Burris from behind drops the football. It's recovered. Kyrie Zébert has it for Ottawa. Touchdown.
Dance there. The defense does a nice job of coming and bringing an extra guy on the outside. He's not picked up, and it's a backside hit on Henry Burris that forces the ball to come loose. It's going to come off the top. Not picked up by the running back. Gets to the outside. And you see Kyrie's Hebert, Johnny on the spot, taking it in with a big play.
Looked like Robert Grant got in there to force that fumble for the Renegades, who lead the CFL in the giveaway takeaway department. Conversely, the Stampeders are dead last. There's Robert Grant, who came here from the Eskimo organization to join this defense. And there's Kyrie's Hebert,
Ottawa,
the sophomore out of Louisiana Lafayette, with that big fumble recovery for a touchdown as the defense rises up early here for Ottawa.
Well, Kyrie's Hebert, who was the starting safety last year, has moved up to the weak side linebacker. And as you say, Robert Grant strips the football, knocks it away from Henry Burris, and Hebert takes it in for the touchdown, an early lead for the proficient and efficient Ottawa Renegades.
The point after is good. Kyrie's Hebert with a 14-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Hebert with 2 fumble recoveries now this season, Chris. That one a big one.
Well, it's a great scheme by defensive coordinator Greg Marshall. And you can see inside here is a linebacker on line of scrimmage, and you got 2 guys outside. Now that freezes the left guard because he's got to respect that guy. Now as he backs out, the tackle, Godfrey Ellis, does not have enough time to get to the outside to pick up the blitzing Robert Gratton, and we all know the result.
Here's Ronnie Jenkins from his 15, comes up the near side, breaks free, daylight, high stepping, and just tripped up. Gilles Leslie lost his helmet trying to make the tackle, and there's a flag down at the 50-yard line. A 60-yard kick, a 35-yard return, and there's an example of the burst from Ronnie Jenkins. Glenn Johnson, the referee tonight, with the call.
Holding Calgary number 4 on the run back, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Scott Dybert out of Minot State with the hold for the Stamps.
Well, negates the excellent return by Jenkins. Right at the end of the play, you can see him kind of just got his hands around the back of the would-be tackler.
And that's Dave Donaldson, the injured Renegade, at center field. Steve Diaz, the Renegade trainer, attending to his right calf. So we'll check on his status when we come back to Frank Clair Stadium.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Subway, eat fresh.
It looks like a cramp in the calf muscle. You mentioned off the top of the show, Chris, how important it is to hydrate in these hot, humid conditions, and perhaps he's suffering from a lack of fluids.
Well, the interesting thing is the fact that they've practiced in this all week, so I'm sure it's being drilled in their mind that they have to drink a lot of water 2 to 3 days before this game. Take a look at defensive coordinator Greg Marshall right there, obviously wondering and concerned about status of Dave Donaldson, who is the backup cornerback, halfback.
Marshall coming back to Ottawa, where he started on the defensive line for the Rough Riders and was a teacher at St. Pat's High School here for many years, held some football camps in this region as well, and now back in the nation's capital as the defensive coordinator. First down, Calgary. Burris handing off. Joffrey Reynolds tries to cut back, drags the Ottawa defenders as Ray Jacobs was first to make contact there. Jacobs trying to reestablish his life and his career here in Ottawa.
Well, Ray Jacobs, who didn't play football last year at all, said he's extremely happy to be given another opportunity and fortunate to be working with Richard Harris, the defensive line coach, who was his coach in BC the last time he played in 2003.
Jacobs, of course, cut in BC after he was arrested outside a crack house, reportedly with prostitutes and a small amount of cocaine in his car. He was later dropped off those charges. 2nd and 3. Burris scrambling, throws it too far for Scott Dybert, incomplete, and so this Calgary offense sputters early here in Ottawa.
Well, Calgary is attempting to run a rub pattern, but excellent coverage by the secondary of the Renegades, taking away the initial read by Henry Burris. He's going to set back. He's looking to the right-hand side. There's nothing there. He has to pull the ball down. Tries to throw it to his last resort or his outlet back. Scott Dybert, and just a little past the outstretched hands.
So the Stampeders will punt. Burke-Dales with a 34.3-yard average, delivering to this man, the elusive Jason Armstead. Dales hammers another beauty high to the near side. Jason Armstead tries to get outside. He's surrounded, and he goes down quickly. George White, the first man downfield for Calgary to limit that return to just 3 yards on a 45-yard punt by Dales. White back into the lineup after suffering some hamstring problems. The 6-year veteran out of Boston College. Kerry Joseph again late coming onto the field as Ottawa talked on the sideline, and they'll start this series like they started their first, over the ball at the line of scrimmage. No huddle, Ottawa. First down at their 27-yard line. 4 receivers wide side. They'll go to the short side, and Joseph turns Demetrius Maxey inside out, and there's a late hit and flags on the play as Grace and Clark came in to finish that play after a run of about 6 yards.
Well, Brian Clark and John Grace, who is the ex-teammate of Kerry Joseph, and one of them will get tagged with a little bit of an additional
major foul piling on. Calgary number 48. First down.
It's Brian Clark, but an excellent job of Kerry, who's just going to run a little bit of a shovel pass, can't get it. Little stutter step, freezes, and actually causes Demetrius Maxey to overrun the play.
Didn't look like a very harmful looking pylon by Clark, but nonetheless the penalty will move the ball to the 48-yard line. 4 receivers wide left. Short side handoff, and Ronick is hit in the backfield. Another flag down. Demetrius Maxey busting through the Ottawa offensive line to make contact in the backfield.
Well, Demetrius Maxey, who the play previous had overshot Kerry Joseph, makes up for that play, just knifing in there, taking the legs out from the running back before he could even get started.
The call from Glenn Johnson now.
Procedure, no end, Ottawa, penalties declined. Second down.
So Ottawa with an illegal formation on offense. This team is the most penalized team in the CFL, with 359 yards coming into this game. And this week at practice, the coaches were hard on the players for concentration penalties. Maybe that's one of them right there.
Well, the mental errors are the ones they will not forgive, and they'll actually institute a fine system.
Movement along the line of scrimmage. Blitz on Joseph. He manages to get free, wide open to run, and he will run. Joseph across midfield, and he'll slide to the 40. First down, Ottawa. Flags down.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where they call. If they call Scott Coe, who jumped, or will they call the right tackle, Abraham Khan, for procedure? Was he drawn, or did Coe jump?
Offside, Calgary number 56. Penalties declined. First down.
It goes against Scott Coe, the University of Manitoba grad. Big play, and again we see an illustration mark of the quickness and athletic ability of Kerry Joseph to elude the pressure. Just going to come from the bottom. There's a little step, gets to the outside.
And Chris Joseph continues to threaten the line of scrimmage with his running ability. This time handing off. Josh Ronick keeping his balance. Finally tackled by Scott Coe. Another big gain on the ground for this Ottawa offense.
Well, to take the pressure off Kerry Joseph, you better make sure you establish the running game. You got a great back, 2-time 1,000-yard rusher. And Josh Ronick, you've got to utilize him. That takes the heat off. That tires out these big defensive linemen, especially in this humidity.
Ronick coming into this game with 147 yards on the ground in 3 games. He hasn't been a huge presence on the ground, but he's Ottawa's #2 receiver right now. Second in the yard. On the ground, Ronick bounces into the middle, and he's hammered quickly, very close to a first down. Demetrius Maxey again making first contact. Very close to a first down.
Well, they needed just a little less than a yard to pick up the first down. They're going to call in the sticks to get a measurement. Demetrius Maxey, a real presence. Boy, they sure loved him last year. Had a tryout with the San Francisco 49ers. Got released in August, came back, and 6 sacks in the final 6 games for the Stampeders last year. They're extremely happy to have him back full time.
Well, Maxey anchors that front 7 for Calgary, which is an all-veteran lineup. The secondary is a different case when they've got 3 rookies starting there.
Well, they got 3 rookies, but they really feel they've improved their coverage ability on one-on-one situations. What that means, Mark, is also they can blitz more because they know they can cover back there for a better period of time.
So it's third down and less than a yard, and Ottawa will go for it. Joseph will sneak, and he'll have the Ottawa first down.
Well, just tucks behind George Hutchin. Pascal Chiron picks up the first down to keep this drive alive.
First down Ottawa as we join Elliot Friedman on the sideline.
Mark, just a quick something to keep an eye on. Raheem Abdullah, the end there for the Calgary Stampeders. After the Stampeders' first defensive series, they came off. They were working on his right leg. They say he's okay, but it's heavily taped. Something to keep an eye on for later on in this game. Mark?
All right, so Elliot Abdullah perhaps nicked, the starting rush end, coming to Calgary this year out of Edmonton. First down, Ottawa. Joseph with plenty of time in the pocket, throwing deep for the end zone. Wide open is Armstead. He drops the football. Wide open again, and Armstead could not hold on to that touchdown pass.
Well, Jason Armstead, who runs a little bit of a corner route, gets behind double coverage. Great protection up front. Nice throwing lane for Kerry Joseph. This play takes time to develop. Look at him just run away from the coverage. It's right where it should be. He can't believe it. He gets it, juggles it, takes his eyes off the football, does not secure the football at the last second.
A costly drop in a 2nd and 10 situation for Joseph. 5 receiver set. Calgary jumping again on the line of scrimmage. Joseph with perhaps a freebie. It's complete to Marcus Howell. He gets around Scott Coe, and he have a first down with a gain of about 15 yards on the play. But a flag down and an injured Renegade at the 43.
Well, it looks like Abraham Khan, the right tackle, who did everything he possibly could to get out to try and pick up the offside George White, who jumped the gun on that play, and he went down in a heap. But again, Kerry Joseph doing a nice job of mixing up the cadence.
Offside. Calgary number 38. Penalties decline. First down.
We talked about the fact that Calgary's defense is a 3-4. 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers. They like to bring those linebackers from all over the place. This time they line up George White to the outside. But Kerry Joseph mixing up the snap count, not always going on 1 or 2. That's caused Scott Coe the previous play and George White now to anticipate incorrectly when the ball is going to be snapped.
Abraham Khan now being helped to his feet. Concern for Joe Palpo. They only have 1 backup offensive lineman in the lineup tonight. That's Mike Sutherland, the veteran. And this offensive line has been a tossed salad for Ottawa in the early going of this season. As Sutherland makes his way onto the field, they've made 4 changes in 4 successive weeks.
Well, and I was very surprised when I looked at the roster and saw they only had 1 backup offensive lineman. Mike Sutherland, who just back now, last week his first game, got a touchdown, a nice way to come back. But you know what, he's had a battle of the knee injury as well, and he's more of an interior. He's a center guard. So now they're going to have to kick another guard to the tackle position. We know that Valzé Germain, who is normally the starting left guard, has kicked out to the left tackle. Now we got another situation on the other side.
We also know this, that the Renegades tried to make a deal for Dave Mudge out of Winnipeg. They apparently were in talks for upwards to 4 weeks, but Winnipeg wanted a first-round pick, and Ottawa said forget it. So for Connie Kouahi, the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, they're pretty thin here on the Ottawa line early in this game.
Well, that was an interesting move anyway, to allow a former outstanding offensive lineman, a Canadian, a good football player who's struggling admittedly early in this year, but a guy like that you know can rebound. I tell you what, I think Montreal got a good part of that trade.
Well, Chris, already in this game, Ottawa has been the dominant offensive football team, but they have missed some tremendous opportunities in this first quarter. Kerry Joseph scrambling, throwing deep downfield. That was knocked down by Chapman. Wide open was Howell. Then this one, no question, Jason Armstead, open by 10 yards, and he couldn't hold on to a perfectly thrown ball. Ottawa with 7 first downs already in this game. Calgary with none. And that's been a problem in Ottawa. Their first game, they had only 8 first downs in the entire game against Edmonton. Against Montreal, 30, but last week back down to 10.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why they got to be extremely pleased the way this offense is running right now.
Double tight end formation. First down. They'll go on the ground. Ronick looking for an opening. Now he tries to get outside, and he's caught from behind. It's Scott Coe, who's all over the place on this field for Calgary.
And looking at the lineup, it almost looks like they've moved George Hudson, the center, 52, to the right tackle position and put Mike Sutherland in at the center position. So once again, another change, 2 big changes on this offensive line. We'll see how that affects the potential running game.
What do you make of this as an offensive lineman about these guys playing out of position?
Well, you know, not to be biased, but these are probably the smartest guys on the football club beside the quarterback. They have to know how to block all the plays. So
2nd and 7, the blitz comes. Joseph in trouble, and they've got him. The 17th sack of the season allowed by Ottawa, and that O-line was simply overwhelmed.
Well, Denny Crehan, the defensive coordinator, did a nice job. He says they got new guys in there. Let's bring the blitz and bring an extra guy. They have to communicate. That's what offensive line is all about. Communication between your next player. They can't get it. Somebody comes free right up the middle. Next thing you know, your quarterback is down for the 17th time this season.
That was Raheem Abdullah, who was nicked a few plays earlier, showing he still got some fight coming in there first to lay a hand on Joseph. So Ottawa will settle for a field goal attempt just inside the 30-yard line on the right hash marks. Kellett hit the uprights in his first attempt for no points. Pinned, kicked, and Kellett is good. So Ottawa comes away with a field goal after having a short touchdown dropped. There's the scene in behind the Ottawa bench as the training staff looks at Ibrahim Khan, the Ottawa native, injured on that last series, Chris.
Well, the thing that concerns me is they're also looking at the left knee, and we can only hope that it's not too serious.
Ottawa has no more backup offensive linemen left in this game. The kick deep to Ronnie Jenkins at his 12-yard line. Jenkins surveying now. He turns on the speed and crashes his way across the 35-yard line. Jason Kralt and Dwayne Taylor in on the tackles on a 27-yard return. Henry Burris struggling this year to click with his new receivers as the new star free agent quarterback in Calgary. And he talked about that yesterday in the pregame. Burris has had trouble finding his open men. He says it's trouble coordinating with their body language, but they've had some drop balls when the ball has been on the money. Jermaine Copeland with 2 of them in the last game against Winnipeg when they were unable to score an offensive touchdown.
Well, the drops will always hurt you, Mark, but the fact is they have to read and readjust their routes, and they have to be on the same page as Henry Burris.
Play action blitz coming. Burris so wide open, and it's Brett Ralph. He's got his first CFL catch, and he's hammered across midfield. The younger brother of Brock Ralph, the former Eskimo, who is now with the New York Jets in a tryout situation, gets his first CFL catch.
Well, and Coach Tom Higgins really likes this kid. They had the connection because Higgins had coached and worked with his older brother, as you say, is in the Jets organization right now trying to make a living down south. And they said this kid is just a smaller version of his brother Brock.
Well, he played some football at Wyoming and then Boise State and transferred to Alberta last year, but because of the CIS transfer regulations, he was unable to play last season, and so he sat out basically through scout team footballs as a scout quarterback for the Golden Bears, and he was drafted this year by Calgary simply because of, as you say, Tom Higgins' association with Brock Ralph and the family.
Well, they looked at the bloodlines and thought, you know what, maybe the apple didn't fall from the tree on this one, and you know, they say this kid, the young kid's got a good future.
Well, he's got to be good if you sit out a year and you still get drafted into the Canadian Football League. That was the first down for Calgary in this football game on the first ever CFL catch by young Brent Ralph. And Dwayne Taylor is the nicked up Ottawa player.
Dwayne Taylor, who they're really excited about to come over here, was in Regina, Saskatchewan last year, and he was behind Reggie Hunt, so he was never getting any playing time. He phoned Greg Marshall in the offseason and said, hey, I'd like to try out with you guys. And Marshall didn't know who he was, so he had to phone Roy Shivers, and he talked to Richie Hall, and they both gave him glowing reports, and here he is starting for the Renegade defense.
Yeah, 2 years in the practice roster is no fun at all, and he's in now because Gerald Vaughn is injured. Good play action fake by Burris. He wants to throw. Now he'll challenge, and he is hit hard. Ray Jacobs came from behind and hit him hard as he just crossed the line of scrimmage for a short gain of about 5.
Well, they're running the play action. They're trying to fool the secondary of the Renegades. The Renegades do not bite on it. Play action, Reynolds comes to the inside. Look at all the time, but he can't find anybody open downfield. That allows the defense to close on him, but that's an excellent job by the secondary to swallow up the Calgary receivers.
We talked about Ray Jacobs and his trouble with the law last year. Richard Harris, the D-line coach, saying he's been a model citizen here in Ottawa. Second and about 4.5. Burris time across the middle, intended for Copeland, incomplete, and Corey Banks, the pepper pot of that Ottawa secondary, breaks it up.
Corey Banks, who leads the Renegade defense with 2 interceptions all over the intended receiver, times it perfectly. Burris trying to throw it on a rope. Banks will not allow Jermaine Copeland to come up with a catch.
And here's where Henry Burris stacks up early in this season in terms of completion percentage, only ahead of Hamilton and Winnipeg quarterbacks right now. But don't forget, last year it took him about 12 games to really hit his stride in Saskatchewan before he led them to 5 wins in a row. I don't think Calgary fans will wait 12 games for him to hit his stride there.
I agree with you there, Mark.
Dales with a short but high punt. Armstead takes it and steps out of bounds. And Ottawa back on offense when we come back.
Ibrahim Khan is not out there right now with the Renegades, but he is going to try and play again, guys. Left knee, so he's going to give it one more shot to see if he can play. Mark?
Right, Elliott. A 15-yard no yards penalty against Calgary. Good position for Ottawa. Here's a little look in pass to Frank Catolo. Catolo breaking tackles across the middle for an Ottawa first down.
Little hitch pass to Catolo. Boy, they love this guy here in Ottawa already. First game back, he helps them upset the Montreal Alouettes, and here he is with a little pass to the outside, breaking it into the inside where he knows he's going to get hit. I like the way this guy breaks tackles. He runs through tackles. That's a good mentality. That's a warrior mentality right there.
Catolo cut by BC, picked up in Ottawa. Hand off to Josh Ronick, and it's tough sledding up the middle for a short gain in the final few seconds of this first quarter. Let's check that Calgary defensive lineup now.
Well, you can see Demetrius Maxey, who's made his presence felt early on. The linebacker crew, it's a good one. Ryan Clark, the guy that calls all the defenses for this defense, and the only guy returning from last year, Joey Bose, at that halfback position.
Yes, 3 rookies in that Calgary secondary. This will be the last play of the first quarter. 2nd and 8. 5-man rush for Calgary. Deep downfield, comeback route. Catolo's got it in close coverage with the rookie, Jermaine Chapman. So Frank Catolo, who had no catches in 2 games this year against BC and Edmonton, has 2 here on this series to move the sticks for Ottawa. They've got a 10-0 lead after 1 quarter of football. It's all Ottawa after 1 quarter of football, and I would expect the statistics bear the same.
Well, I think, you could go right down the line. 1 first down in that first quarter for Calgary. Their offense still continuing to struggle. The big turnover, the big hit by Robert Grant, and recovered and taken for a touchdown by Kyrie Zaber, and the time of possession. This is what you want right there. You got 4 minutes in the opening quarter.
And Ottawa with a first down as they change ends at the Calgary 50-yard line. Clay Roberson has come into the game now at rush end for Raheem Abdullah. Abdullah had some knee problems in that first quarter. Ottawa with a double tight formation. Straight back on a play action. Throwing deep is Joseph. Wide open is Yo Murphy. He's got it at full stride. Tries to go by Grace. Touchdown, Ottawa.
Boy, I tell you, this is an offense that is running on all cylinders right now. 50-yard play to a streaking Yo Murphy, who finds a hole in the zone coverage, and once he catches the football, turns it up and takes it all the way for the touchdown. Ottawa going with a double tight end offense to give a little extra protection to Kerry Joseph, to give him that extra second to go downfield, but that's just broken coverage. He just gets behind the extra cover guy, Pascal Masson, who was in the game as the nickelback.
The point after is good, and that nice little play action to Ronick froze that defense for a moment to get Murphy deep. His second touchdown catch of the year and his longest of the season at 50 yards.
Well, you know, and it's a good job of mixing up this defense because you know they like to bring the linebackers. Now when you do the play action because you're running Ronick, that forces the linebackers to step up. All of a sudden he's thrown behind him. That puts a lot of pressure on the cover guys. Result, 50-yard touchdown and a nice lead, 17-0 early in the second quarter.
Bose was beat on the move inside by Murphy, and Kerry Joseph has been running an authoritative offense here tonight. With the help of his quarterback and receivers coach, Tommy Condell, who has taken over running and calling the plays for this Ottawa offense. It happened in the second game of the season. There is Tommy Condell, the young wonder kid in terms of offense in this Ottawa coaching staff. He's been given the keys to the offense to call the plays. He's seen as an aggressive coach. He's a man who was the youngest offensive coordinator in Division 1A football at the age of 29.
I like the fact, Mark, they have one guy calling the offense rather than three. They had last year periods where the line coach was calling it, Joe Palpa was calling it, and the offense coordinator last year was calling him.
Rambo drops the ball, picks it up, and then he runs into the thick of that kickoff cover for a return of 23 yards to the 40. As we take a look at the anatomy of that last Ottawa scoring drive, it began with Joseph going to Frank Cutolo for the first time in this football game across the middle in traffic, and the little guy got a first down. Nice catch on the snap, and then another deep play to Cutolo in traffic for a first down. Then Joseph on play action with a double tight formation, finding Yo Murphy wide open underneath Bose, beating Grace and Masson to the end zone for his second touchdown of the season. Yo Murphy, who was talking retirement after last season, was talked into coming back for another year by Ottawa. Here's Joffrey Reynolds now at full speed off tackle, and Kyrie Zever is there to make the tackle for Ottawa.
Well, if there's one positive about the Calgary Stampeder offense is they have a good ability to run the football. They got two good backs with Joffrey Reynolds and Ronnie Jenkins. The problem for this offense is they haven't been able to work out the passing game.
And we're expecting to see both Reynolds and Jenkins in the backfield at the same time in this football game. The Stampeders would like to get the ball to Jenkins at least 12 times in this football game. Right now he's watching. Here's the pass, incomplete, intended for the rookie of the year from 1 year ago, Nick Lewis, and nowhere near him.
And you can see what's happening here. Nick Lewis sits down. Henry Burris expects him to cut it to the sideline, so he throws it where he's going to go to the outside. Nick Lewis sits down in the zone coverage. Pass goes incomplete, and another problem, and here we go again. Let's bring on the punter.
Jim Barker, the director of player personnel, was telling us earlier tonight before the game that this is a very tough offense. The Steve Barato offense is a tough one to process and to learn. It's going to take some time, he said, before everybody clicks.
Well, you're in a tough Western Division. You better hope it doesn't take too much time. You're going to find yourself behind the 8 ball trying to make the playoffs.
Here's Armstead at the 23, hit and fumbles. Ball's loose, flags are down, still loose. And we'll see who has it, but there are flags all over the field as Marcus Howell gets the ball back for Ottawa. We'll check on the penalty when we come back. Trey Young, the rookie out of Montana, forced the fumble with some help from Keaton Cromartie.
Well, I mean, obviously this is a self-explanatory play, and the fact it's a clipping call. You can't block. Now here's Trey Young. Now let's follow him and watch what happens as he's coming down to close on Jason Armstead. You're going to just see out of the corner. There's the hit right from behind. That's Keaton Cromartie, 56, the starting middle linebacker, hits him right in the back in front of the official. Flag goes down.
George White had an easy recovery there, but tried to pick up the football and run with it, and the Renegades got it back as Marcus Howell fell on the football. Tough field position for this Ottawa series. Here comes the Calgary blitz. Screen pass, Ronick wide open, daylight outside, and he's collared by Brian Clark, close to a first down.
What a great call. You know they're going to bring the blitz. You know the defense is getting a little frustrated. They're spending a lot of time on the football field. Let's not give the ball the handoff to Ronick. Let's just slide him through right here and give him a little screen pass. And Morris Unatoa, the new left guard out there, doing a nice job of blocking to the inside, allowing Ronick to get to the outside, picking up 9 yards.
Ronick, the number 2 receiver in this Ottawa offense, 2nd and 1. Quarterback sneak into the heap. And it looks like Kerry Joseph will have enough for the Ottawa first down. A nice mix of this Ottawa offense. Screens, some misdirection, and some deep balls challenging the Calgary defense deep.
Well, the defense would love to play everything in front of them. Kerry Joseph is not allowing that to happen, as you say, with the deep ball, running the hitch pass to Cotolo, the screen pass to Ronick, handing it off, the naked bootlegs he's run himself. He's really put a lot of confusion into the Stampeder defense at this point.
Here's the measurement, and it will be a Renegades first down. Joe Paopao, as we talked about, has turned over the offense to Tommy Condell. You mentioned it, Chris. This was an offense run by committee last year, with young Tommy Condell in the background, the quarterback coach, also with Paopao, and then with Connie Kawahi, the offensive coordinator. And it frustrated Kerry Joseph last season, standing waiting for a play to come in.
Well, especially when each person would call the play depending on what part of the field they're in.
Yeah. Movement on the line of scrimmage. Looked like Joseph was trying to back away from his center, didn't have the snap. Flags down.
Well, Pascal Charon jumped at the right guard, who they acquired from Hamilton, played in Hamilton last year. Did not like the fact they were rotating him last year.
Ottawa, number 58, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Very happy to come over here and get a starting job at the right guard position. You see him just coming up.
These are the kind of penalties that really frustrate Paopao. Almost a third of the penalties last week of the 16 Ottawa took were either offside or procedure calls. 1st and 15, high snap, play action. There's the hitch pass outside, and Armstead is tripped up quickly as he crosses the line of scrimmage. Here's Elliott.
Mark, that one's going to cost Pascal Charon $50. According to a system that the team has imposed among itself, among all the units, you get fined for certain plays. And on the offensive line, if you got a penalty, it was a $50 fine. Also, Jason Armstead will owe $5 for dropping that touchdown pass. Guys?
Elliott, at this rate, there'd be some pretty nice meals on the road this year.
I'll tell you, that's a pretty good deal. Armstead drops 7 points. He gets fined $5. The offensive line, $50. I think the pay scale's out of whack there.
Well, the Renegades trying to find some way of bringing some discipline. And another flag on the play.
Now, this will be an objectionable conduct here. A lot of talking going on there. Temperatures are getting short. The weather and humidity taking its toll.
Objectionable conduct. Calgary, number 48, is still 2nd down.
So Brian Clark gets an objectionable conduct to go with his piling on penalty in this first half for Calgary. And Tom Higgins not amused with his team trailing 17-0 here early in the 2nd quarter.
Well, I think he expected a little different outcome right now. I didn't expect to be behind the 8 ball 17-0 going into the second quarter. But I think the fact is you got to give credit where credit's due, and that's the Ottawa Renegades offense is doing a masterful job.
Please add 10 seconds to the game clock.
The other thing with that penalty is they had Ottawa in a 2nd and 12 situation. Now it's 2nd and 2. So they're letting Ottawa off the hook deep in their own end, where field position could be an advantage if they'd been able to stop this drive.
And we had talked earlier about the rainstorm that moved in and delayed the game, and it cooled the temperatures down. But now that the rain has moved off, the humidity has just come up full force, and you know it's going to have taken its toll on the Stampeders right now.
Higgins showing patience in the early going of this season with his young football team, saying that rebuilding is not an excuse for losing, but this team is still in the process of gelling. Here comes the blitz against the run. Look at Ronick hit the hole. Daylight still going. Now Ronick breaking wide open into the secondary and carried out of bounds inside the 20. Pascal Masson makes the tackle. It's a 60-yard gallop for the little running back.
Well, the offensive line on the left side, little slide protection, and 54 again. I mentioned him earlier in the broadcast. Morris Unatoa, the left guard gets out and seals the linebacker to the inside, and that allows Ronick to get through that hole untouched, and then 60 yards later he is going. Watch 54 here as he comes around, and watch that block to the inside on Brian Clark. That allows Ronick to get there. Nice play, nice job of that offensive line.
Hey, how about Yo Murphy downfield blocking Jacoby Shepard? Play action, naked bootleg. Joseph to throw. It's high, incomplete, intended for Yo Murphy. and he's hit immediately by Chapman.
Well, the second pass that has gotten away from Kerry Joseph tonight. So again, he rolls out naked bootleg. The fact that they've had success running the ball with Ronick, the whole defense slides inside. That allows Kerry Joseph to have all day to throw this football. He just puts it too high for the intended receiver and really hangs his receiver out to dry, because the secondary comes up there and you can really lay a lick on the receiver who has to go high to catch that football.
Joseph's play action has worked to perfection here tonight. He's bought himself lots of time to go downfield. Second down, 10 to go. More blitz action now. Joseph throwing into the end zone, incomplete. Looking for Yo Murphy again, and two Calgary defenders in the vicinity, Malbrough and Bose. So that drive will stall. Field goal attempt for Ottawa.
Well, Malbrough and Bose doing it under over cover, not allowing Yo Murphy to get between them. He got caught up in the coverage and basically gave up in the pattern, realizing he couldn't get to the football.
Malbrough, another one that got away here in Ottawa. He signed just 2 days after the free agency open season started in February, going back to Calgary.
And remember, their starting left tackle, who they thought was going to have so much promise, the #1 draft pick, Alexander Gauthier, also jumped ship to Calgary.
Matt Kellett not wearing the glasses tonight as he continues to struggle with double vision. This attempt from the 24-yard line, and it's good. So Matt Kellett has 2 in a row after hitting the goalpost for Ottawa. Welcome back to Frank Clair Stadium in Ottawa. The CFL on CBC on a warm, humid, stormy night here in the nation's capital. But Matt Kellett, who was disappointed, Chris, to be traded this year during the draft day out of Montreal. He thought the Alouettes gave up on him. Has been really reliable here with the Renegades, missing just 1 tonight. 1 of his previous 8 coming into this game. He'll kick it off at the 29. It's Ronnie Jenkins looking for a seam, still on his feet, twisting, and Donnie Ruiz brings him down across the 50-yard line. Carlton veteran Jason Kralt is all mic'd up tonight, and we have our first installment of this weekly feature.
Philo. But just because you live here doesn't mean you can come out for captains, buddy. Have a good game, kid. Go run. Go run, I won't block you. How's that?
The witty Jason Kralt in his first taste of microphone tonight. That pass complete to Jermaine Copeland, shy of the first down for Calgary as he makes his first catch. The man that led this league in receiving with more than 1,700 yards just 2 seasons ago.
Well, even a more important stat, 24 touchdowns in 2 seasons, and they are expecting big things from Jermaine Copeland. They haven't been able to get on the same page, Henry Burris and him, but I think that'll work its way out as the season unwraps.
Calgary's leading receiver coming into this game, but yet to get to the end zone. 2nd and 2. Burris looking for something here in this drive. Throwing far side, way over the head and behind of Copeland. Quincy Coleman was right there, step for step, so Burris has been off the mark again.
Well, again, a situation where Jermaine Copeland thinking it's going to come to the outside shoulder, so he's running to the sideline as we take a look at the comparison between the quarterbacks. 140, only 27 yards for Henry Burris. But just where the ball is intended to go and the receiver thinks the ball is going are 2 different things right now for this Stampeder offense.
Burris looking a little frustrated after saying that he and Copeland were working so well together in practice this week. Steve Parado now having words with the young quarterback, who has struggled here in the first 3 games with his new team. Dale's punting from the 50. It's a big, deep, spiraling punt over the head and out of touch. So the Renegades let it go through, and Calgary has its first point of this football game. Back in Ottawa, and the Renegade offense set to come back on the field, and we've seen this a few times tonight, Chris, huddling at their own bench, then coming out on the field and getting right over the football.
Well, the nice thing about looking at that huddle is also you saw 65 back in the lineup. Abraham Kian is going to give it another go.
So Joseph will have a series of plays now to call himself on this no huddle offense that they've been using. There's Khan back in at tackle. First down. on the ground. Ronick bounces outside, can't get away. There's a flag on the play as Ronick is felled right along the line of scrimmage.
Well, they try to run behind Kahn this time, and I believe the right tackle will get called for a holding. That's the way to test to see if your left knee can push off.
Holding, Ottawa number 65, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
You're all over that, big man.
I think he's trying to get out and hook the defensive end to allow Ronick to get to the outside. Does not have the same push on that inside leg. Especially that's the leg you got to push up when you're at the right tackle. Sims grabbing the back there, pushing Clay Roberson down.
10-yard penalty, first down repeated, 1st and 20 Ottawa. Calgary showing blitz. They come again from the field side. Joseph steps up, he escapes. Now they get him. Napastic with a shoestring tackle, and that will be another sack, so the 2nd sack of the game against Ottawa.
Well, a big play for Sheldon Napastic, because if he doesn't grab or wrap up Kerry Joseph, there's a lot of acreage for Kerry Joseph to exploit. Good pressure initially from the Stampeders. Going to bring a blitz. You see Brian Clark go to the top of your screen. One extra guy coming in. That means the outside guy, George White, is not blocked. He avoids him, but can't run away from Sheldon Napastic.
Loss of about 2 yards. 2nd and 22 now. In the shotgun. Across the middle. Oh, Marcus Howell is hit hard. Scott Coe, who plays with reckless abandon, makes the tackle to thwart that Ottawa drive.
Well, that's the best we've seen the Stampeder defense tonight. They came out, they made a point. Sheldon Napastic, the player earlier, does a nice job, and Coe with a great stick on Marcus Howell.
Well, this week, Jason Claremont of the BC Lions was writing an article in the Vancouver Sun talking about Scott Coe, as we see Joseph heading off limping, saying he's a guy that will find your last nerve and then step on it. And he did that there to Howell. There's a fumble. Rambo can't find the ball on the bounce, but a flag down as Ottawa may have encroached that 5-yard restraining zone.
I tell you, the thing that was interesting is the flag came out just as the ball came out. So he was initially going to throw the no yards. Mark, you're correct on that call, and that's very fortunate for the Stampeders. I don't like the situation. We just saw Kerry Joseph limping off to the bench. And remember last year he was having a great season. You see him trying to run it off right there.
Ottawa number 75, 5-yard penalty, first down.
When he got hurt last year, the hopes and dreams of the Renegades went down with Kerry Joseph.
Yes, he was on and off the roster. In fact, it was an injury-riddled season for Ottawa quarterbacks, as all 3 were injured at one point. And with Brad Banks already off the roster nursing a shoulder injury, they're not too deep. On the ground, Joffrey Reynolds off tackle, and that Ottawa defense read that play to stuff it for a short gain.
Well, nothing fancy, just a search pattern where the back gets the ball about 4 yards and searches for a hole off the left side. Joffrey Reynolds picks up some yardage, putting him in a 2nd down in a mid to long situation.
The last 6 series in offense for Calgary, Chris, the Stampeders have been 2 plays and out and a punt 5 times with 1 fumble. So not very prolific as they scrimmage 2nd and 7 at midfield. In the shotgun, 4-man rush, and Burris fires it to the near sideline. Kenyon Ramble has the football, then scampers for another 6 or 7 more yards for a first down Calgary as we join Elliott.
Well, Mark, one of the most interesting decisions that Joe Paupe made this week was not to play Anthony Collier and use Kai Ellis. He said he was going to go with the healthier player. Well, right now, neither one of them is healthy. Kai Ellis is done for the night. That right ankle is bothering him again. They've taken the shoe off. They've put ice bags on him, and he is finished for this evening, Mark.
Oh, what a curse for the Renegades. Ellis missing 10 games last year with injuries. Here's a hitch pass coming back inside Copeland, and there's nowhere to go as the Ottawa secondary closed quickly. Greg Moss, the rookie corner, in on the tackle.
The secondary closed quickly, but I see some connection happening between the quarterback and the receivers, where the ball is being delivered exactly where it has to be for the receiver to have any attempt at coming up with a reception.
Looks like Henry Burris is going back to some high percentage passes, short 5-yard passes to get something going, to build some chemistry on this offense. 2nd and 5, Calgary. Second first down. Play action. Here's a pass out of the backfield. Rambo high stepping, still on his feet and driven back. He pays a price as Corey Banks comes in and puts a wallop on him. Punt situation, maybe a long field goal here, Chris.
You gotta love the way the Renegade defense is playing. Corey Banks exemplifies the personality. It's going to be a swing. They're just going to swing both guys to the outside, to the left. Give him the ball. You see Rambo gets it, but look at the stick and look at the aggressive nature of this defense. Joe Palpo says, you know what? One of the major differences between this team this year and last year is we have an edge to us. We got some guys that are showing leadership qualities, guys that are out there making statements with their play.
It's 3rd and about 1.5 yards, and the Calgary Stampeders will go for it. They've got something going here on this drive with 3:44 and counting to go in the half. It's a bunch formation. Quarterback sneak. The Renegades come over the top, and Burris moves the pile. It is a first down, Calgary.
First down, Calgary, and what confidence in the O-line to throw it onto the fire right now and say, you know what, we need it, guys. You're going to have to tighten up. You're going to have to give us this first down. We got something going here offensively, a little momentum, running a little bunch to the right-hand side, but he's just going to run over to the left. Keep the legs driving, going behind McNeil, Crysdale, and Godfrey Ellis to pick up a crucial first down.
So Cromartie has moved up onto the line at rush end for Kai Ellis and crawled into the game a middle linebacker. Here's the blitz. Burris, the ball's away. It's complete to Copeland coming back, but Deshaun Austin wraps him up right near the first down marker. We're at the 3-minute warning here in the opening half. The Stampeders marching in Ottawa. Double the pay this week.
You know, they're trying to get that.
Stampeders have got something going here. Would like to go to the half with some encouraging offense. Handing off on the ground. It's a double reverse. Nick Lewis looking for a block from his quarterback. Cuts inside. Dives across the 10-yard line. And it looks like he'll be close to another Calgary first down as the Stampeders pull out a trick play.
Well, take advantage of the pursuit of the Renegade defense. They're flying to the football right now. So run a play to the right and then pitch it to Nick Lewis coming around in a sweep to the backside, and then Henry Burris is out there leading the way as a blocker. Now, I'm sure he's not looking for anybody to hit. Big Nick Lewis, nice job of getting down to the outside, busting a couple tackles. Now we'll see if they pick up the first down.
Looks like he got what you call a lookout block there from his quarterback.
Oh, lookout, that's right.
Burris has something going in this series. He has been 4 for 4 passing, Chris. And there on the double reverse, the Stampeders with a first down, goal to go at the 7-yard line of Ottawa. Straight back to pass. Burris throwing across the middle. It's complete to Jermaine Copeland in traffic, and he's mugged at the 5-yard line. Short gain across the middle as Copeland becomes the favorite target for Burris.
Remember, this is an area where they really tried to work. They're going to run a little bunch formation. 3 receivers to the right side and try and confuse the secondary, the Renegades. But the Calgary Stampeders spent a lot of time this week working in this red zone, or they like to call it the score zone, to try and work out the kinks, because they have not been able to score in the 3 previous times they've been in the red zone.
2nd and goal from the 4. Roll in the pocket. Burris throwing to the corner. Jump ball, and it's out of bounds. The Ottawa secondary all over that play in coverage.
Good pressure. Keaton Cromartie from the outside, from the end. The converted middle linebacker back to his normal position as an end. There's defense coordinator Greg Marshall standing in the plays. Got to get to the outside of 56. Keaton Cromartie, good speed to get to the outside. That ball just simply overthrown.
Deshaun Austin and Greg Moss step for step in coverage, and so Barato's offense will have to settle for a field goal A very promising looking drive. They went back to the basics in that series and got something going. DeAngelis, the only perfect kicker in the league right now, 7 for 7 coming into this game. It's a short chip shot for the rookie, and he makes it 8 for 8 from 11 yards out. Kerry Joseph coming back onto the football field after limping off from the last series, and some concern in the Ottawa neighborhood over that. This was the shot right there as Napastuk went down low and gave a bit of a twist, and the limp, some worry in Ottawa. On the ground, Josh Ronick finds a hole, off tackle now, stomping into the daylight. It's a foot race to the end zone. Here comes Bose with a saving tackle at the 10. Josh Ronick with his second huge run. This one 66 yards. 2 runs, and he's already over 120.
Well, the offensive line again, great job at the point of attack, allowing that huge opening for Josh Ronick to exploit, and gets down there. That's the first 100-yard rushing game for Josh Ronick since last June against the Toronto Argonauts. Little over a year.
Ronick 66 yards on that gallop. He had one earlier of 60. Here's the damage he's done on the ground so far in just 7 carries. Ronick 137 yards rushing in this first half. Ottawa threatening again. They'll go to Ronick on the ground. Grace is there along with Brian Clark and Scott Coe. So the Calgary linebackers sniff that one out.
Good job of forcing it to the outside, getting some support from the inside on that defense to bring them down. But Josh Ronick, as you say, with 2 big runs, 60 and 66 yards, really able to exploit that secondary and that linebacking system where they like to play games, come up on a blitz. If you get caught in a blitz like that and it's blocked at the point, big things can happen.
Second down, Ottawa. Goal to go from the 10. Ronick in the shotgun. Here comes the Calgary blitz, throwing the deep corner route. Yo Murphy's open. Touchdown. Yo Murphy with his second touchdown reception of the night, and they're standing at Frank Clair.
Just an excellent call. Just a little crossing route. He's going to come back into the middle of the football field and then break it back to the outside. He's being covered by the linebacker, George White. That's a mismatch. He gets separation on a beautifully thrown ball delivered by Kerry Joseph. As you say, the second touchdown of the evening for a very happy Yo Murphy.
Matt Kellett with the point after. And the Renegades answer back swiftly with Murphy's second touchdown catch of this first half. And Ottawa with a stranglehold, and Josh Ronick enjoying the celebrations. His running game has just cut a swath through Calgary.
We talked about the fact that you got to get Josh Ronick involved in the offense running the football. Good things will happen. Now, we didn't expect him to get a couple big runs like 66 yards, 60-yarders. But the fact is, it's opening up the passing game. And you got to love the way the Renegades are playing. They're being aggressive. I'm going down the field. I'm not going to go to the sideline and sideline. And he just gets separation. That's a mismatch. He gets the coverage they want with a linebacker covering him. Look at that. You know he's happy. Good job, Kerry Joseph.
Kerry Joseph is reading this Calgary secondary like a book, making great reads, processing, and delivering the football.
Everybody back at home. Peace, baby.
Upstairs, his mentor, Tommy Condell, with a terrific game plan as well, as Ottawa has ruled offense in this first half. 52.4 seconds to go. Gerald Vaughn, the injured Renegade, with a pat on the back to the veteran Yo Murphy. And Kerry Joseph no worse for wear after limping off on the previous series.
It's
Ottawa Football Club raising eyebrows early in this season. Squib kick, Ronnie Jenkins. Now he turns on the speed. And Gilles Lesy, the sophomore out of Quebec, makes the tackle. A return of 21 yards as Henry Burris comes on the field with 47 seconds to the half.
He's got to get something going. He had a nice drive last time. They had to settle for a field goal in the red zone last time for 3 points. They need to get some points. They have to have some sort of momentum going into the half.
Well, the last drive for Calgary has to be encouraging as Burris finally had a series of connections. Barrato going back to a basic game plan here. They got the ball down to the 4-yard line and had to settle for a field goal. Straight back. Burris across the middle. Wide open. Nick Lewis at full speed. Still on his feet. Then chipped down. Deshaun Austin cutting the legs out from the second-year receiver.
Nick Lewis just dragging across the middle. Finds a hole in the zone. Ball delivered perfectly to a streaking Nick Lewis. He avoids a few tackles and eventually is brought down by 22 Deshaun Austin. He's running away from some of the coverage. Good tackle.
First down again across the middle. Oh, that time Dwayne Taylor was in the neighborhood. Jermaine Copeland, the intended receiver.
Well, Jermaine Copeland very fortunate as he's trying to find an opening in that coverage. Quincy Coleman, 29, also coming the other way along with Dwayne Taylor, almost come up with that interception.
Ottawa dropping off here on this series defensively, telling Henry Burris, let's see if you can put a drive together here with pressure. 30.9 seconds on the clock. 2nd and 10. Straight back to pass, 4-man Ottawa rush. They get pressure, wide side, wide open, Brent Ralph, but he's bottled up. No, he breaks free. Moss had him in his grip, and the young Canadian rookie scampered free for a first down on a blown tackle.
Well, you know the coach is going to like this. This effort is he's going to show this play to the whole team a couple times and say, you know what? Don't give up on the play. Keep your legs driving. That's exactly what Brett Ralph does. Breaks the tackle of the smaller Greg Moss. I keep thinking of his cousin Santana Moss. Good bloodlines anyway.
Brent Ralph, the 6th round pick this year in the draft, with a big first down, his 2nd. Here's more pressure. Now they'll go deep. Burris throwing to the corner. It's a jump ball. Flags on the play. Incomplete. And Copeland is irate. He wants a pass interference call there. 2 flags, and it looks like Ottawa is going to give them a chance.
We talked about the fact that Kerry Joseph is aggressive with the Ottawa offense. I like Henry Burris going down and attacking vertically deep. That's what you got to hope. You hope you get an interference call, legal contact. The flags were thrown. Now the referees are going to get together and decide, was the ball catchable, or are we going to put it to the point on the 1?
Offside, Calgary, number 80, forward pass interference. Ottawa, number 80. The balance is a 5-yard penalty against Ottawa. We'll repeat first down.
Well, it's not Ottawa 80 because I don't think that Joe Murphy's playing defense right now.
With a break for the Renegade defense, just a 5-yard penalty. First down, Calgary, just across the 25-yard line of Ottawa with 14.1 seconds on the clock. So Burris now moving the sticks, trying to get something here in the dying seconds of this first half. Motion. Rambo to the wide side. Straight back to pass on the blitz. Burris having to roll away from pressure. Now he'll throw wide open. It's Brent Ralph again with a big first down. 3 catches, 3 first downs for the rookie Canadian.
Well, the rookie Canadian gets his first 3 catches of his CFL career, and he's doing it in Grand West style right now because everybody else can't seem to form a connection with Henry Burris. But he does something nice here. He gets out of the pocket. Henry Burris has got great athletic ability. You see, he just throws it, puts a nice touch in that football. When he runs and attacks the sideline, he puts the defense in a bind.
6.1 seconds, Chris. What do you do? Go to the end zone here? Do you have time for a field goal if you miss? Burris in the shotgun. Pressure again. Throwing for the end zone. Touchdown. Jermaine Copeland with his first receiving touchdown of this young season. And Henry Burris is the opportunist.
Well, Henry Burris finally hooks up successfully for a touchdown in the red zone with Jermaine Copeland, who gets his first touchdown reception as a Stampeder. Just going to run a little post pattern, start out, come back inside to the goal post. The ball delivered perfectly.
So Jermaine Copeland finally finds the end zone. as the Stampeders make good in the red zone. The point after from DeAngelis is good. And so with 1.9 seconds until the half, the Stampeders will go to the locker room encouraged on offense.
Well, we talked. The fact is they had to have something happen positive, some momentum to go in, because, you know, the play is serious early. They moved all the way down, as you said, Mark, and had to settle for a field goal. All of a sudden, Ottawa gets the ball, boom, touchdown. So that's a great way to answer and get a little confidence in that offensive system.
These last two series for Calgary, Burris has looked pretty decent, has been finding his receivers and making things happen.
And how about Brett Ralph? I mean, this kid's making a little statement for himself right now. He's saying, hey guys, all you overpriced, maybe not overpriced to him, maybe he feels but you know what, hey, watch me, I'm doing it. We saw him break a couple tackles. He's making catches, climbing the ladder, getting up high to grab some balls that are overthrown. Nice job.
Tremendous story for the young man out of the University of Alberta who did not play last year because he was a transfer student out of Boise State. And his big brother Brock trying the NFL Jets this year, former Eskimo. His kid brother helping to keep that drive alive with 3 big catches for first downs. And Henry Burris rebuilding his confidence after a shaky start on offense. This will be the final play of the first half. DeAngelis squibbing this one along the turf. Goes through the legs of Kraut. And Armstead will pick it up. Driven back on the final play of this first half. As the gun sounds, the Renegades with a 27-11 lead. The Ottawa offense firing on all cylinders. The Calgary offense rekindled as we join Elliott.
Thank you, Mark, with Joe Paupow. And Joe, the decision to start in the hurry-up offense looked like you caught Calgary by surprise. Why'd you say?
Well, we felt that, you know, something to get ourselves going. Nothing about what Calgary was going to do. It seemed like we had a lot of success with that in the previous game, so we felt that we'd just start and had some success, just stayed with it.
All right, discipline was something the coaches harped on all week. Are you happier with the way your team is avoiding penalties tonight?
Well, we got the lead, and we got 30 more football minutes to play, and that's still a lot of football to go. So right now, we got to play like a 0-0 and go from there.
Thank you, Joe. You're welcome. Joe Paupau's team has a tremendous first half. A last-second
down by Jermaine Copeland at least makes it respectable. But I'll tell you, the first half was pretty well all Ottawa Renegades. Should the Renegades win this football game, they go to 2-2. Remember, the Hamilton Ticats are 0-2. They play the tough Saskatchewan Roughriders tomorrow at Taylor Field. That game on TSN at 6 Eastern. With me, Sean Millington, Greg Frères, and Darren Flutie. Let's take a look at the first half. You talked about the fact last year Calgary's defense forced turnovers. That's not happening. Now we see Ottawa forcing a turnover early on Henry Burris.
And opened the score, made it 7-0. Ottawa leads the league now with 10 takeaways. We are saying that Calgary's defense really need to step up and give opportunities to their offense. Well, Ottawa had no problem taking and making points onto the scoreboard. Hebert scoops it up for an easy touchdown, beats Godfrey off the edge with speed, and that's what needs to take to be able to get some offense on the board.
Ottawa with 3 touchdowns in that first half. 2 of them, we saw one there off the turnover, 2 on passes to Yo Murphy from Gary Joseph.
Ex-teammate of mine, still looking very good as he gets up in age a little bit, but I'll tell you what, Kerry Joseph looked extremely good. He was very mobile. Chris and Mark talked about he lost 15 pounds. Well, I'll tell you what, he looks great. He's finding the open receiver, and Millie will like this because it's the pass from the Renegades that is opening up the run for Ronick, just like it always should be, Millie.
Well, we talked about Josh Ronick and the runs. Ronick, 8 carries, Millie, for 136 yards.
And this really, we got to give credit where credit is due, Brian. We were on the O-line earlier in the telecast saying they weren't getting it done, but the reason why Ronick is having this kind of success is because the O-line is opening up big gaps for him. He's getting downfield. We talked about the short little dump passes, and there we saw an example, and that's why he's getting the yards that he's getting downfield. And he's got that great forward lead when he's running. He allows the first defender to come in, and then he's going to unload on him and hit.
A good point. Now, we talked about the move to Val St. Germain over the left tackle. He's played extremely well. Open up holes for Ronick, but also Abraham Khan, it looked like he was hurt. He's come back into the football game, not only opening up holes for Ronick, but protecting Joseph very well.
And like was mentioned, you got to like the offensive game plan for Ottawa. They're pecking away with the short passes, getting the ball into the hands of their receivers, Armstead, Catolo. These guys are so dangerous with the ball in their hands, quick screens. Then all of a sudden the deep passes open up. all of a sudden the big runs open up. This is a great offensive game plan. They got to be really happy with it.
All right, very quickly, these points. How about Joseph and the ankle? Big story in the second half?
I think it is a big story. Maybe not so much in this second half of this football game. He may get away with it with throwing the football game, but it might show the next game. He definitely doesn't have the mobility he had at the beginning.
You played in Calgary. Calgary's had a free pass from the fans with new coaches, new quarterbacks. They lose this game, that could change.
It's a wake-up call. What really bothers me, Brian, is the fact that they're taking sloppy penalties, objectionable conduct, late hits, offside. These are all lack of discipline. They were going into this game as the least penalized team. We thought this was going to be a problem for Ottawa. Ottawa has had no problems. This is a problem for Calgary.
Sean, you talked about Ronick, but also in the pregame show, you talked about what a big addition Greg Marshall has been as defensive coordinator here in Ottawa.
Well, obviously, Greg Marshall's coming with a great defensive plan. He's managed to stymie the Calgary offense. Steve Barratta, I've played with under his offenses. He's a very analytical thinker. He's one of those guys who's going to game plan. He's going to be a chess player against you. And obviously, Greg Marshall's plan has been very effective in stopping Steve from doing what he's been trying to do tonight.
Well, at the half here at Frank Clair Stadium, after a delay for lightning, thunder, and rain of about 30 minutes, the Ottawa Renegades with a big lead over the Calgary Stampeders. Yo, Murphy with 2 of those touchdowns.
History of Excellence, brought to you by Nissan.
The great Canadian players over the years have been the backbone of Canadian football. They make this league special. Players like McMaster University's Russ Jackson, the great Rough Riders quarterback for so many years. Speaking of the Riders, how about receiver Whit Tucker? Running back Ronnie Stewart out of Queen's University in Kingston, and the great tight end Tony Gabriel. They were not only some of the best Canadians, they were some of the best players to ever play this game. They brought excitement. They were a force in the league for more than 20 years, but most importantly, brought this city of Ottawa a string of Grey Cup championships. Here it is in 1976, Tony Gabriel against Saskatchewan at the old Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Canadian Tire at the half. Brought to you by Canadian Tire. Let's get started. Back at Frank Clair Stadium in Ottawa, the rain has let up, and we've got a pretty good offensive football game as we go down to the sidelines. And here's Elliott with the Calgary head coach.
Thank you, Mark. Tom, sometimes it's difficult to tell what you're thinking by your facial expressions. You keep very stoic, but is it safe to say it's a very disappointed Calgary head coach right now?
Well, the good thing is that there's still 30 minutes to play, so it's going to give us an opportunity to see what kind of football team we have. Our playmakers have to step up and make plays, and we have to minimize the big gains. So I'm very much looking forward to the next 30 minutes.
Just for his own emotion, how much do you think Henry needed that last touchdown drive before the half?
Well, he needed it, the team needed it, the offense needed it, and what was really nice is he called the whole thing all the way down because it's a hurry-up offense. So I'm proud of him because we needed that going in. That was the only little boost that we have. We're going to have to build off of that last drive.
Thank you, Tom.
Oh, you're welcome.
Mark?
Thanks, Elliott, and it does sound like Calgary's got some bounce in their step as we look at the first half numbers.
Well, the numbers have really evened out, and that's a result of the last 2 drives that Henry Burris has orchestrated. And I thought the key point is, one, the fact is he's calling his own plays. He knows what he's comfortable with. He sees what they're attacking him with on defense, and he was successful. And he finally, I think a big thing was when he climaxed that whole thing with a nice touchdown reception with Jermaine Copeland to put some oomph in that offense.
Joe Paopao back on the Ottawa sideline. We said off the top that he believes this football team is better than its 1-2 record, and they're showing it here tonight.
Well, you look at what they did. They beat Montreal on a big comeback in the fourth quarter. They had the lead in BC last week, kind of gassed it in the second half.
A short kick to Donnie Ruiz. He's pushed out of bounds at the 39 as Calgary keeps the ball away from Jason Armstead. Chris, let's take a look at Kerry Joseph's first half pass distribution.
Well, Kerry Joseph has done a nice job of utilizing the entire football field. He's attacked deep, he's attacked shallow, he's attacked intermediate. He's been successful deep with Yoel Murphy for a couple of touchdowns, and he's kept the Calgary defense off balance.
Let's not forget, too, that he had a beautiful touchdown pass dropped in the end zone by Jason Armstead. This lead could be even bigger.
It definitely could be.
So Ottawa began this drive over the ball after huddling on the sideline. Here comes the blitz. Play action. That froze the defender. Here's Frank Catolo. He's got a good gain there of about 8 yards before he's wrestled out of bounds. The man they call Frankie Knuckles.
Oh, Frankie Knuckles, nice job of grabbing that ball, securing it, and getting out. What I find interesting is Pat Woodcock, 16, the man they thought was going to be the future of this organization, is basically being used as a decoy. Nice job of blocking downfield to spring him, but I haven't really seen anybody go to number 16 of the Renegades yet today.
Yes, Pat Woodcock, the Canada native, the big free agent signing of a year ago, has been patient, not seeing too many passes as Ottawa goes on the ground on 2nd and 1. Very close to a first down, but getting back to Woodcock, he hasn't seen a lot of balls. He had no catches against BC, just 1 reception against Montreal, and 3 in the first game against Edmonton. They've got to find some way to get him into the game plan.
Well, remember, this is a guy that had that big 99-yard reception in the Grey Cup win when Montreal beat Edmonton, was the outstanding Canadian in that football game, and they had such high hopes when they signed him from Montreal to come here, and all of a sudden he's just disappeared.
It'll be 3rd down and inches, but I'll tell you this, Woodcock has not complained. Pau says he's been a gentleman and an ideal practice player, going hard at every play, just waiting, he says, for his chance. And when I get it, he says, I'm going to show them that I'll hold on to that football.
Well, he will, you know, and you know what, we got to give a little break to him. I mean, the fact is he was banged up a little last year. He didn't get any kind of a rhythm as far as staying in the lineup. He was in the lineup for a game, got injured, missed 2 or 3 weeks, came back. So, you know, that really affected his play last year.
Yes, he missed a total of 5 games with an eye injury, a freak eye injury when he got hit with a football in practice, and then that turf toe. But there is an injured Ottawa Renegade on the football field right now at the 50, and it looks like Pascal Charon, so another injury to an offensive lineman for Ottawa.
Well, boy, I tell you, this would be just a coach's nightmare if Pascal Charon goes down. You can see the concern on Joe Pau. We've already seen Abraham Khan leave the game. He's got a bad left knee. You know, he's gutting it out here. Mike Sutherland, the only backup lineman dressed for the O-line, played a little bit right now, and of course there's always the juggling. Now this is a guard, so if Mike Sutherland has to come into duty, as he will for 3 plays anyway, he can play that right guard spot.
Let's see if we can see how it happened.
Well, just right here, you can see him right there. He's just going to go, and obviously what happens is you can see, if you freeze it right there, fellas, take a look. You can see if someone rolls on the back of his legs, and those are always the scary injuries because you can't see them coming.
So Pascal Charon heads off the field, and it's raining again here in Ottawa as the heavens open. We had that half-hour delay to the start of the game because of that lightning storm, and that 3rd down gamble in inches is easily converted as Corey Hathaway comes in to help out in the blocking, and the quarterback Kerry Joseph sneaks it up the middle for a first down.
Kerry Joseph looks for, he just hesitates just a split second to find the opening. He takes it to the right side behind Hudson, and Mike Sutherland is in for the injured Pascal Charon and picks up that short yard needed to keep the drive alive.
Oh, this is a torrential downpour now as the fans head for cover, most of them up into that Mardi Gras section in the upper deck of the south side.
Try to get some beads.
First down, 6 receiver set. Joseph, lots of time throwing across the middle. Yoel Murphy in traffic. He's got it. Oh, what a catch.
What a catch, what a throw. Unbelievable throw.
In the rain.
In the rain, on a rope, between double coverage, and Yoel Murphy, as you say, splendid exhibition of keeping concentration, finding the football. But talk about threading a needle right there between double coverage. Yoel Murphy with his 3rd catch of the evening, and every one of them has been a big play.
Frank Catolo breaking off his route when he sensed he was too close to the intended receiver on the play, drawing the defender. On the ground, Ronick nowhere to go there as he's hit quickly. George White and Brian Clark, those linebackers, coming up to fill for the Stampeders.
Good penetration from the interior of the Stampeder defensive line forced Ronick to readjust to try and take it to the outside. And the pass stick in the middle, they get penetration. You see Roberson, and as a result, George White is able to wrap him up for a loss.
So it's second down, 12 yards to go for Ottawa after the loss of 2. Calgary now rushing 4 after showing the blitz. Joseph steps up out of the middle, and it's complete for a short gain. Yo Murphy has the ball for Ottawa, but they'll be shy of the first down by at least a couple, looks like, Chris.
But what a way to start the drive. I mean, start the second half. You come out there, you take the ball, you utilize your running backs, you utilize your receiver, Yo Murphy, who's been your best player receiving the ball this evening. And then the presence of mind to know where everybody is on the football field. Feels the pressure, steps up, finds number 80, delivers the football again.
And how about that? That's the 4th catch of the night for Murphy as he goes over 100 yards now with 2 touchdowns to boot. Field goal attempt for Matt Kellett from the 24. Kellett is good. So the Renegades add 3 more to their lead here in the rain in Ottawa. Warrior of the game. The polls are open online. We want you to log on to cbc.ca/sports/football in the second half now to vote for the player you think showed heart and determination as a Warrior. And Henry Burris, with a strong finish to that first half, might warrant some consideration.
Well, I think there should be a multiple winner this week, and I think it should be right now, if it doesn't change, the offensive line of the Ottawa Renegades, who have really stepped up.
Here's Ronnie Jenkins into traffic. Ball loose. Ottawa's got it. They're taking it to the house, but it's blown down. Rob Grant picked it up, but the play was whistle dead.
Well, they're going to say the ball came out after he made contact with the ground, therefore not being a fumble. Doesn't seem to be too much of an argument from the Renegades. So we'll see what happens. Calgary getting the ball. Remember the last time they had the football offensively to end the half. Burris hooked up on Copeland for a touchdown. You can see that ball come out late. Good call by the official.
This hungry Ottawa team thought it had another turnover as Burris goes to work on offense for Calgary. Straight back to pass, stepping up, beating the rush, pumps one, look out. He gets the ball away. It's complete to Kenyon Rambo in traffic. And Burris paid a price delivering that football as we check his pass distribution in that opening half.
Well, he's signaling for one of his receivers to do a clearing route. Rambo eventually comes up with a catch. You can see right now nothing deep, everything underneath, and that's because that's all the Renegade defense was giving him. So he took stuff underneath. The positive was that in the red zone, they actually converted, and he got a touchdown to Copeland to end the half.
Yes, 9 of his 12 completions in the first half under 10 yards. It is a Calgary first down across midfield. Burris in the shotgun gets some time across the middle, and a bone-jarring tackle by Dwayne Taylor, and it's an incomplete pass intended for Rambo.
Well, Rambo was the recipient. He thought he had it, but perfect timing on the play by Dwayne Taylor to come across and just hit him in the back and dislodge that football, dropping back into his coverage and then reacting to the football, hitting the receiver just as the ball gets there.
And Taylor has taken full advantage of his opportunity in this defense for Ottawa. With the injured Gerald Vaughn out with a hamstring, he has filled in very well. 2nd and 10. Burris steps up, throws across the middle. It's incomplete, right into the hands of Nick Lewis, but he could not hold on to the bullet from Burris.
Burris does everything he possibly can. He feels the pressure, steps up in the pocket, buys himself some extra time, finds the receiver, Nick Lewis, coming open. They're going to run Reynolds to the flats, and you see Lewis is wide open. He tries to come back, a little behind him, but he gets his hand on a football, and you know the old rule. If you can touch it, you should catch it.
Who said that? Tommy Joe Coffey?
Tommy Joe Coffey, the legend.
Back in the dark ages. Jason Armstead back at his own 10-yard line. Hungry for a big return tonight. As Burke Dales awaits the snap at the 50.
Let him go.
Trying to angle it, a high, towering punt. Armstead on the short side, tries to come to the middle. Now he's in trouble. Corralled and forced out of bounds. So the lethal Armstead with a loss of 5 on a 36-yard punt. Joins the panel with Brian Williams next Saturday from Ivor Wynne Stadium in Hamilton. Kerry Joseph going to work in tough field position. The toughest field position in the game for Ottawa. Their own 6-yard line on first down. They'll play it conservatively up the gut to Ronick, and he swarmed instantly as Scott Coe is there to make the tackle for Calgary, and no gain.
Well, Scott Coe, Demetrius Maxey from the middle, George White from the outside, all making their presence felt, not allowing Josh Ronick to get any kind of room to run. They know if he gets to that initial line of scrimmage, boy, he'd go for a long way.
So it's 2nd and 11. There was a loss of 1 on the play. Calgary showing blitz as George White moves up, then backs off. And Joseph is calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. No receivers, 6 downfield, no one in the backfield. Intercepted. Chapman, the rookie cornerback, picks it off for Calgary. And he's still on his feet, heading for the end zone. Chapman hammered by Ronick at the 4-yard line. So Kerry Joseph checks off the play at the line of scrimmage and throws his first pick of the game.
Nice job of the Calgary defense to show blitz, forcing Kerry Joseph to audible, change the call. Then he tries to throw an inside route to Catolo, but the problem is Chapman's got the inside coverage. So he breaks on the ball, comes up with a nice interception and a big play for the Stampeder defense.
And you see the receiving skills of Chapman, the rookie cornerback out of Arizona. He was an all-state receiver in high school in Southern California, was converted to a defensive back at Arizona, had some time in Denver with the Broncos in the NFL, and he set up his offense here with a great opportunity. 1st and goal from the 3, Calgary. Pitch out, Joffrey Reynolds, right side, nothing but daylight. Touchdown, Calgary. Joffrey Reynolds following some terrific blocks into the end zone.
Well, offensive line marking Nick Lewis, 82, the receiver. And that's what I say, if you're not, look at 82, watch 82 right there, chop the block, that's the last man he's got contained. You bring him down, that makes it an easy romp in the end zone for Reynolds. Nice job of execution. You know, we talk about receivers catching a football, but sometimes you got to contribute as a blocker downfield. Excellent example of that by Nick Lewis.
Reynolds' first touchdown of the season. The point after. DeAngelis. Ooh. And he barely makes it as it careened to the right. So Calgary with a touchdown after the turnover. Rookie Jermaine Chapman with his first ever CFL interception.
Well, that was a big, big play by Chapman to turn the tide for the defense, give the offense wonderful field position. They're running a little bit of a bunch formation, but that's the guy right there. Watch Nick Lewis, 82. Little sweep. Give Reynolds the ball. They're going to get to the outside. Now, how does he get so? The great block at the point of attack. There's Nick Lewis taking the contained man down, and then it's just a romp to the end zone. Working together as a unit, you know, that'll make Steve Barato happy.
And you know what? Nick Lewis making good for that drop pass, too, with a big block to set up that touchdown by Reynolds. And Scott Divert is helped off the football field, walking under his own power. Kerry Joseph pacing the Ottawa bench. You can tell he's eager to get back out onto that football field after throwing that interception. He's had a terrific football game, finding his receivers. And that play with the audible at the line of scrimmage in tough field position gets a hand from his head coach. He was picked by Jermaine Chapman.
48 White is on the outside. On special teams, 48 White.
The 4th interception of the season for Kerry Joseph. DeAngelis with a deep kickoff to the 18. And Jason Armstead gets outside. Now he cuts through and can't break through. Tackled Joey Bose on the play, a 55-yard kick and just an 11-yard return. So the Calgary special teams cover has been great tonight.
Well, that's staying in your lanes. Don't be pulled into where the ball is kicked. You still got to go, but it all starts with an excellent interception by soft hands shown by the Jermaine Chapman, who gets to the outside, and after much scrambling gets down to the 4-yard line and is just finished off an easy romp to the end zone by Joffrey Reynolds, helped out by Nick Lewis. Superb cut block.
So how will Ottawa respond? Will they answer back here to try to break this Calgary momentum? Joseph, first down. Rush. Pitch to Ronick. And he's wrapped up by Abdullah. Raheem Abdullah with the tackle right at the line of scrimmage on Josh Ronick.
That's exactly how you script it. You have to have one man take the quarterback, and as you run it, you can see there's Cohen. He's on the quarterback. Then the defensive end's got to come over, and he's got to take the next guy, the potential receiver, and that's Josh Ronick. Nice job of the defense on that play.
You know, it's amazing that Abdullah is even in this football game when only a few years ago, at the age of 26, he suffered a heart attack. Tom Higgins telling us yesterday the team travels with defibrillators. Second down and about 11. Here comes the Calgary rush. Backside pass. It's incomplete. Frank Cotolo says he had it. He fell down and crawled towards the pass, but it looks like it may have skipped off the turf.
Well, one of the few passes that we've seen Kerry Joseph underthrow. We've seen him overthrow a couple receivers early in the first quarter. This one, he's got a wide open Cotolo just sitting on the sidelines, going to sit back, tries to gun it to him. It just goes low. As you say, Cotolo tries to do whatever he can to come back, but he can't come up with a catch.
Boy, I'd like to see a closer angle on that one. It was very, very close in front of the Calgary bench. Cotolo upset. He thought he had a catch.
Let him go, let him go!
Fleming hammers this one, the Canada native does, to the 30-yard line. Kenyon Rambo now bursting outside, breaking contain. He's tripped up, cut down. Dave Donaldson, the special teams tackle for Ottawa. Well, we've had a microphone on all evening on one of the captains for Ottawa, Jason Krall. Let's listen in.
Not good enough, boys. We got to get down there and hit somebody. Pull back! Pull back!
So Jason Krall with some of his calls on the defense. Up the middle, here comes Joffrey Reynolds running right through that Ottawa defense. The ball was loose, but the play whistled down, and there's a Renegade slow to get up. And it's Deshaun Austin, the defensive halfback, down.
I think Deshaun Austin is going to wonder if that was a truck that ran over me. You got to love the way that Joffrey Reynolds runs. He is such a powerful runner, low to the ground, great change of direction, and such a fluid runner when he does get the football.
What was Tom Higgins saying yesterday? He's a banger. He said, I had no idea how good he was because he's not a practice player, didn't show me anything in training camp, but he said, watch out, stick your arm out in a football game and he'll take it off.
I love the line. When the lights come on, he's ready to play.
Yeah, primetime player. Here's
nice
a look at
change of direction, running away from Ray Jacobs, and then at the end trying to get in, and you see Deshaun's going to try and stick the head in there, and he just catches the knee. He catches Reynolds' knee in the side of his head, and that's always dangerous.
That's perfect tackling technique to get your head in front of the ball carrier, but boy, when you take a high-stepping knee in the ear hole.
Well, they want your head in front of the ball carrier, but they'd like the rest of your body to be in front of the ball carrier as well.
So Joe Paopao looking concerned as they look at Deshaun Austin. The Ottawa medical staff still attending to Deshaun Austin, who is still prone on the field at midfield, and it's hard to get a look at what's happening as Joffrey Reynolds shows some concern. He was the big back who ran into the defender.
Well, we saw a situation in Hamilton where DJ Flick got smacked by Gordon from Saskatchewan. It's always a terrible thing. You never like to see it. It's a war zone out there. Guys are trying to, you know, make sure that nobody can advance the football. We want to punish you. It's being taught to you. Punish the guy if he comes to your territory. And you see he's going to lower down. Now watch his change of direction. What a change of direction. And just as he goes, the right knee clips the side of the helmet of Deshaun Austin. You see him go right down there, and he's still down.
It's a violent-looking collision, and we have seen Austin moving his legs and his arms, but they take no chances when there's an apparent injury to the neck or the head.
Well, you never want to take a chance with any type of injury like that, so you're going to take every precaution in the book. It's always smart to err on the side of safety, pull him off. You know, you come back and play another day.
Austin was cut by the BC Lions in training camp and quickly snapped up by Ottawa for some experience in that secondary. And they are being very careful here before making any movement with Deshaun Austin.
Well, the Renegades have really done a nice job as far as picking up people. Deshaun Austin from BC, Quincy Coleman from Edmonton. You know, just getting guys in that fit into their system. Not the tallest of guys, but very active on the coverage.
George Hopkins, the equipment manager for Calgary, with the head coach Tom Higgins. We saw a similar situation in the Hamilton game a couple of weeks back when DJ Flick went down, and they didn't move him for almost 20 minutes, Chris.
That was the first play of the game. And what a way to start, eh? I mean, you're thinking of a deep ball from Danny McManus. And it's unfortunate. You never like to see anybody go through this. And you know that both teams right now, all their prayers are with the injured player, hoping that he could just bounce back and hoping it's not too serious and it's just something that'll take him off the field. And, you know, usually when he's down this long, it's very unlikely you'll see him come back to the football game this evening.
Joe Pau moving right out there to have a look, and now they've got Austin up. That's a great sign. You could see they were holding his helmet. Someone had their hands holding his helmet and his head straight as they asked him some questions.
Now that you see him moving his head around freely right now. So the biggest thing right now is they're just going to check to see if he knows where he is. It's a concussion, right? And that's also dangerous, right?
It did look like he was knocked out because they were asking him questions, holding his head. You could see him blinking his eyes.
Well, we've seen a number of the guys like this. We saw DJ Flick. Milt Stegall in Winnipeg took a hit. He had to miss a game because of this. They just don't take chances now. You know, the receiver a lot of times, or the person that's being hit, will come on the sideline and tell everybody, hey, I'm okay.
Another look at that knee-on head collision that felled Austin. Dave Donaldson has come into the game for Deshaun Austin. And the rookie, Greg Moss, has moved inside with Donaldson now on the corner. Short side handoff. Oh, look at this. Reynolds breaking tackles. And he'll have another first down. And it's an interesting shift in momentum in terms of the ground game, with Joffrey Reynolds now swallowing huge amounts of yardage.
Football's about 4 quarters, and you have to play 4 quarters now. Ottawa did a nice job in the opening half, but Calgary, as you say, has seemed to have scooped up the momentum and put it on its side of the football field. And I know a lot has been made about Ronnie Jenkins, a new guy coming in who's got this speed, but I can't for the life of me understand why anybody would even question the speed of Jeffrey Reynolds, the way he gets and accelerates when he finds an opening.
Josh Ronick, by the way, has -3 yards on 4 carries in the second half. And there's Ronnie Jenkins up the middle.
And you wonder if the reason that, as you say, he's got -3 or 4 yards is the fact that Denny Crehan, the defensive coordinator, maybe has assigned a linebacker to Josh Ronick and say, you know what, where 30 goes, you go. That's the easiest way to stop that.
Second down and 6, Calgary at the Ottawa 31-yard line. Henry Burris becoming more and more confident as time goes, throwing deep to the end zone. Close coverage. It's intercepted. Corey Banks has it for Ottawa. Heading up the sideline. Gets a block. Cuts inside. And they're going to whistle him out of bounds at the 30-yard line. So a huge interception for the Ottawa defense as Corey Banks makes his 3rd pick of the season.
Well, stride for stride with the intended receiver. Burris is trying to overthrow the intended receiver, Rambo. He just comes up a little short on the throw, and that allows Corey Banks to turn around, find a football, and come up with a great interception. All the day to throw the football. Looks one way to try and pull the safety off, comes back, to the opposite side and just doesn't get enough air on that football.
Looked like the quarterback threw off his back foot and the ball was underthrown. And had Banks not stepped out of bounds there, he may have had a really dangerous return. First down, Ottawa. Play action. Hitch out of the backfield. Jason Armstead gets a good block from Yo Murphy, breaks the tackle, and then heads down. First down, Ottawa.
Well, Nick Lewis, we saw him do a nice job of helping the running back into the end zone when Reynolds scored for Calgary. Yo Murphy, who's got 4 receptions in this game, 2 touchdowns, does a nice job downfield of throwing his body around and trying to spring Jason Armstead.
Kerry Joseph, hurry-up offense here in the late stages of this third quarter. Handoff, Ronick up the middle, and he beats the first man, then is wrapped up by Brian Clark. The gain will be 4 yards on the play. 2nd and 6, Ottawa.
Well, Trey Young comes in there, number 33, fills the hole. He's right over here. He's just going to read the back. Sees the back, beats the block inside Unatoa and makes the play.
That 66-yard run that Ronick had in the first half was the longest of his career. 2nd and 6. 3-man rush. Across the middle, wide open, Marcus Howell. As Kerry Joseph finds another hole in that zone defense.
What a nice story, Marcus Howell. So excited. He's such a great athlete that they've had him playing in the secondary, as a corner, as a half, as a receiver sometimes, never really getting a spot where he can live full time. Now he's getting an opportunity to play wide receiver, and he's making it count.
A bunch formation on first down for Ottawa. Motion, drop, snap. Joseph picks it up and is sacked. Raheem Abdullah with the snack, rather the snack, yeah, he snacked on the quarterback, and the sack for Calgary, the 3rd of the game.
Well, they're going to try and do a little trick play, and here's the thing, and what they're going to do is, I believe they're going to see 87, Frank Catola coming from the backside. Little reverse action, trying to take a play out of the Stampeder book.
It looked like Woodcock was going to take the handoff as he bellied back. Woodcock was crossing behind the quarterback as Catola was coming towards him, and the whole play was botched up on the missed snap.
Offside, Calgary number 53, 5-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
So Abdullah a little hungry on that play after the sack.
Well, trying once again to anticipate Joseph's snap count, beat the block at the point of attack and make a play. You saw he was a sack earlier. This time he left a little early.
That helps. 5-yard penalty, make it 2nd and 11, Ottawa. In the shotgun, here comes the blitz. Joseph, look at the time. Now he's flushed, shovels it to Ronick. There's a flag on the play. And Scott Coe is pointing at Ottawa.
Well, that was a late developing play, and I believe Scott Coe will have an argument. They're going to call holding. It'll go against the Renegade offense.
Holding, Ottawa number 52, 10-yard penalty, repeat 2nd down.
Now George Hudson with the call, the center in the middle, and that may be the reason that Kerry Joseph was able to step up and try the little underhand push pass to the receiver.
This series has been 1 step forward, 2 steps back as penalties continue to bother this Ottawa penalty-riddled team.
And the thing that hurt him last week in the second half against BC was indeed the penalty.
2nd and 21. 4-man rush. Across the middle, Yo Murphy, big catch, and he's tackled right near the first down marker. That's Murphy in traffic again.
No fear shown by Yo Murphy to go across in the middle, in coverage again. We've seen him do a couple catch. Look at this. Right between 2 would-be defenders. Now he knows he could probably get smacked from both sides. Great concentration, looking the ball into his hands. Kerry Joseph pays for it at the end. Might have been a roughing the passer on that play. The fact is, again though, Yo Murphy, boy, what a game he is having this evening.
It'll be 3rd down and inches for Ottawa at the 39-yard line. Joseph paying a price, taking a lick from Abdullah on that play. And we have heard heard some coaches complain that certain quarterbacks in this league get preferential treatment when it comes to roughing the passer.
We saw last week a very, very tough call. We weren't sure when David Benefield from Saskatchewan got the roughing the passer call on Damon Allen. And, you know, talking to the Saskatchewan defense after the game, they were quite upset with that call.
Kerry Joseph with a textbook quarterback sneak for the first down.
And they've done a nice job all evening of executing that third down gamble. Take a look at the receiving comparison. The two big, Jermaine Copeland, 5 catches. Joe Murphy, 5 catches for 125. Copeland with no catches in the second half.
First down, Ottawa. Outside blitz, good read on the hot route, but it was tipped. Intended for Armstead as George White got his hand on it as the gun sounds to end the third quarter. 15 minutes of football to come with Ottawa in front.
So when you're ready for the update.
One quarter to go in Ottawa with the Renegades leading 30-18. An announced crowd tonight, Chris, of only 16,303. Surprising, you would think, after the big comeback win at home a couple of weeks ago over Montreal. This crowd is smaller than what the Gleavermans had when they owned that team down in Shreveport, for Pete's sake. Here's Joseph. Screen to the backside. Ronick at full speed, bashing through the defense. First down.
One of the reasons they love Josh Ronick is the fact that when he gets his hands on a football, whether it's carrying it or receiving it, he just makes people pay. Take a look at the three-quarter stats. Calgary making a big game in the second half so far, outscoring Ottawa 7-3, but turnovers again. The big interception by Corey Banks for Ottawa. The one interception by Jermaine Chapman for Calgary that led to the Calgary touchdown by Reynolds.
Direct snap to Josh Ronick. He goes up the middle. That fooled Calgary as he threatened to pitch the ball to the quarterback. Joseph on the play.
Again, that's a line call. Your quarterback will look at, and he makes a call depending on how the defense lines up. If he thinks he can exploit it, he makes a signal, he make a color call, and they'll direct snap it to Ronick.
Ronick having his best game of the season on the ground. Moves the yardstick 6 yards. 2nd and 4. Blitz. Handoff up the middle, and Ronick goes away from the pressure. And he'll have another Ottawa first down.
You know, Josh Ronick only has one speed, and that's full. When he gets that football, he has 100 miles an hour. Acceleration, quick acceleration to the hole. You see the closing. They try to close from the outside. The Calgary defensive end can't bring him down. Ronick does what he has to do to pick up the first down.
Ronick had more yards on 1 carry tonight than he had in his best game so far this season. That was against Montreal. Up over 150 yards. Play action, they read that, and Joseph is hammered by Scott Coe for the 4th sack of the game. That's 20 sacks against Ottawa's quarterback this year.
That is just excellent job by Scott Coe, not being fooled by the play action, staying in the rush lane. He's at the top over here. He's just going to stay with it. He's not going to bite on the play action, Ronick. Follow the quarterback. Keep you contained. That's what happens, and a good result with Coe getting the sack.
Jason Claremont was saying that Scott Coe is one of 5 players he hates to play against in this league because he's got no regard for his body. He plays with abandon. Throwing deep, the corner route, Yo Murphy. Too far. Much the same play that he scored on earlier in this football game. Just a bit overthrown.
Trying to get Yo Murphy on the corner route again in the back of the end zone. Little slide protection to the left. He's going to set up behind the left tackle, throw it to the corner. He's got what he wants, just puts a little bit too much on the football.
So Matt Kellett, who has been good on 3 of 4 field goal attempts tonight, the longest from 29, and that's where they'll spot this one. Pat Fleming to hold. Right down the middle for the veteran kicker. Kellett hammers the football. Good. Ottawa pads its lead. Joseph continues to run this offense effectively. Afternoon with Steve Armitage and Mary Carroll from Montreal. Ronnie Jenkins at his 17-yard line, and he runs right into traffic. Let's go down to the sidelines for an update on Deshaun Austin. Here's Elliott.
Well, Mark, the word is he has a concussion. He won't be back tonight. He was actually out cold for a couple moments, which is why the moment he was down, the Calgary players were signaling for the training staff to get out there. He is okay. He was sitting on the bench, but he's out with a concussion, Mark.
Thanks, Elliott. Good to see Deshaun Austin okay. That was a scary incident. First down, Calgary at their own 36-yard line.
Thank you, guys.
Back to pass. Burris, pressure now. Tries to sidestep it. Now he's got a chance to run. Fakes the pass, steps out of bounds. And he eluded a near sack there with his nimble footwork.
Well, Ray Jacobs, 53, thought he had his first sack of the 2005 season. Beats the offensive tackle to the inside. Wraps up, and the elusive Henry Burris shakes off the would-be sack and picks up something positive, 5 yards.
2nd and 5, Calgary. 11:24 to go. Lots of time in this fourth quarter as the Stamps try to mount a comeback. Burris stepping up in the pocket, throwing downfield. It's tipped. It's Corey Banks who had that interception on the last drive. Gets his hand up to break that play up.
Well, as Corey Banks was probably the closest receiver on the play. That was just a bad throw from Henry Burris, nowhere near the intended target. Good protection, and he just throws it to Corey Banks, who gets his right hand up there trying to knock it down and come up with the second interception of the evening.
So again, the Burris offense short-circuiting here, and they'll have to punt end over end. And staying in bounds, Armstead in front of his own bench. The flag flies as he steps up on the return, and the indication is no yards against the Stampeders. A 48-yard punt by Dales and a 6-yard return by Armstead. Again, we invite you to log on to cbc.ca/sports/football in this fourth quarter to cast your vote for Warrior of the Game, to decide who you think showed true character and true grit tonight. These two Ottawa Renegades certainly, I would think, will get a lot of votes.
Well, I really like Yo Murphy, what he's done. That's not taking anything away from the game that Kerry Joseph is having. But Yo Murphy going across the middle with those great grabs, showing no fear to make those catches. And again, I got to give you, I know I'm a little biased with that O-line. All the changes they got there, the injuries they've had today, they're still getting it done. Oh yes.
I vote for Josh Ronick.
Ronick will be taking him out, I guarantee, after this game.
First down, Ottawa in the shotgun, rolling right, shovel pass. It's Josh Ronick, and he'll be close to a first down.
Well, one of the ways that you take advantage of a blitzing defense is you get them and allow them to blitz the quarterback, and you do a little shovel pass between. There's the end going to come up. He's got to take Kerry Joseph. He just pops the ball, a little punch pass to Josh Ronick, and he does the rest himself and picks up 9.5 yards, putting him in a second and short situation.
Second and less than a yard for the Renegades, and Joseph up into that heap, and it looks like he'll have an Ottawa first down. Indeed he does. As we check the game summary so far, if you're just joining us tonight, Yo Murphy with 2 catches to start the game, both of them for touchdowns. Josh Ronick with one of his greatest days as a running back in the CFL, over 100 yards rushing. Joseph conducting a clinic through the air and on the ground, and Henry Burris, after a slow start, finding his way back into this game with some decent passing numbers, and his team is still in it. First down, Ottawa. Joseph in behind his center. Play action, dropping back across the middle to Josh Ronick. He beats the tackle of Brian Clark, and John Grace finally gets a hand on him. Another first down for Josh Ronick, who is running wild over this Calgary offense, or rather defense. Out of the backfield in short screens. He has been terrific. Direct snaps up the middle. On the ground, Josh Ronick with a red letter day for Ottawa on offense. First down, Renegades eating up precious time on the clock and moving the yardsticks. Every receiver to the wide side. They'll hand off. Ronick slips a block. Look at that. He made something out of nothing.
Well, just slide protection by the offensive line. And basically, all Josh Ronick has to do is take the ball deep enough, work toward the line, not in a true north-south, but almost a little bit sideways, find an opening, and then turn it up and slash through it. Line is just going to slide, protect to the left. Now he takes it, stutter steps, finds the opening where he can get a gap and bust through there for 6 yards.
Josh Ronick with over 200 yards from scrimmage tonight. Fake goes to the short side. Frank Catolo gets a great block. Now he's dangling with one hand on the football, and he'll have an Ottawa first down.
You got to like the way that Kerry Joseph looks off the safety. Fakes to the right, comes back to the left. On a toe of 54. What a great block to kick out the last guy on the corner and allow Catolo to cut back inside. Little hitch, come back in, find your blocking. There's 54. Great job again, knocking out, allowing Catolo. Don't like the way he's carrying the football, but nice play.
Chris, this
objectionable conduct. Ottawa taunting number 87.
There you go,
dead
Chris.
Ball foul. It'll be 1st and 10.
There you go.
The man you call Frankie Knuckles has a reputation. Talking to some of his ex-teammates in BC, say he's always chirping, always talking trash to the defenders. Well, that time he gets caught, it hurts him. Another silly penalty.
Abdullah is down. Remember, he hurt his knee in the first half of this football game and has been playing a warrior, staying in on the D-line. Getting back to Frankie Catolo, though, you're right. His teammates say he runs off at the mouth and beaks off at some of the linebackers, and often the other receivers pay the price getting tackled. And you can see Connie Kawahi, the offensive coordinator, trying to settle down the Ottawa receiver.
Well, the only good thing about it was after the play. So he had picked up the first down. It moves the yardsticks back. They still keep the first down. But, I mean, it's just not something you want to have. I mean, this is something Joe Paupo talked about. You just got to do your job. And I know he's an emotional guy, but he's going to come back. Here he is. Oh, yeah, he's right in the ear of the defender. There's the official right there as well.
This Ottawa offense has become much more imaginative under Tommy Condell, the quarterback coach, who, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, took over calling the plays. There he is standing up in the booth. He took over calling the plays in the home opener against Montreal, that big come-from-behind victory. He's a tireless worker. He comes to the office at 4:30 in the morning to be ready for the quarterbacks who arrive at 8:30. And his game plan, as you see tonight, has really baffled Calgary.
I really like what you told me earlier. The way that he puts something on a screen. Tell that story. This is a great story of how he gets these guys mentally prepared.
He's developed a software which he calls his snapshot. He has a computer which he projects on a big screen on the wall, and what it shows you is the offensive layout, the formation, and then he shows, for example, the Calgary defensive formation. He has the quarterback stand in front of the wall, and he sees, much like what we're seeing right here, you'll see the Calgary set, so he knows what play he's called, and then for a second, when just before the ball snaps, he'll show where the Calgary defenders move, and he says, okay, after that 1 second, what's your call, what's your read, what's your call? And it's getting the quarterback to visualize and make quick decisions out there.
What I like is the fact that he shuts it off as well, so he doesn't have the ability to keep staring.
No,
he's got to do the mental process quick. Sees the defense, see it shift, make the call. That's great game planning for real life action. It's a simulator. It's like driving a car where you take lessons, right?
It's brilliant. Condell coming to the CFL back in the mid-90s at the age of 23 as a guest coach in Winnipeg, and he was hired on full-time by Jeff Reinbold after that spring training. Rolling right. Joseph fakes the pitch, then he'll run himself, heading out of bounds to avoid the tackle. and playing this defense like a banjo.
Well, the thing about Kerry Joseph you really got to like, I mean, as mentioned, he came into camp a lot lighter, a finer tuned engine, if you would. Look, he tries to run the shovel, just freezes George White enough to get to the outside, but he's smart. Then he doesn't try and be a hero and run over everybody, gets out of bounds, kills the clock. Let's get going.
And Joseph was saying under this offense that his runs are not designed, they're all reaction runs. So he makes his reads. If they're not there, protect the football, threaten the line of scrimmage.
Well, you could tell just from that look in his eyes, looking at the defense.
Here comes the blitz, pressure, the ball's away, it's complete. Yo Murphy diving very close to a first down. We'll see where they spot the football. It may be just inches shy across the Calgary 40.
Well, maybe shy, but you just gotta love the way that Yo Murphy fights for footballs. The fact is, this ball is thrown to the outside. Yo Murphy has to really come back, sees the blitz coming right there. Kerry can feel it. Spider senses, get rid of the football. The end result, though, Yo Murphy sees it, comes back, stretches, makes a great grab. They're going to come up just short, but you gotta love the play of a guy like Yo Murphy.
I like what you say, spider sense, like that. Quarterbacks who have that sixth sense when they're not looking from behind to know when to get rid of the ball. They say Flutie was one of the best at that.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you even train for that. Do you just line up and have people run at you? And after a while, you get smacked about 58 times. You kind of say, hey, I think something's coming. I think it's a God-given ability.
So it's third down and about the length of a football. And Ottawa will, of course, go for it. Clock ticking, less than 7 minutes to go in regulation time. And Joseph spreading his receivers right and left, I formation in the backfield. And he'll sneak it. And there's nothing that Calgary can do to stop it.
And this drive is eating the clock. They're just keep moving the football. Even when they got the penalty by Katola, they got the first down. Fresh set it down still because the penalty was after the play. They convert, get another first down, and they're just eating away at the clock. And the longer they have it, the less time that Henry Burris has any chances of working a miracle for Calgary.
Look at Abdullah. He's been down a couple of times tonight, and he's back on the field. The rush in position.
Well, he's also showing some warrior-like ability out there by coming back, playing hurt. There's Denny Crehan, the defensive coordinator, sending in the signal.
He's got to get the ball back if Calgary's going to have any chance. Handoff underneath, Ronick. And he scoots up for a gain of about 3 on the play. What a night he's had, Chris.
And this will be the big play for him because of the fact this is one of the few times that the Calgary defense has kept him in a second and long situation. Ottawa, who said one of the things they want to do offensively was put themselves in a better second down situation, have most of the evening. This time, no, it's going to be a second and long.
2nd and 7 to be exact from the 35. Joseph in the shotgun, 4 receivers wide side. That's where he's looking. Lots of time. Now pressure. Couldn't find anybody open. Held on to the football. And Brian Clark will sack him. That's the 4th sack or 5th sack now of this football game for Calgary. One thing about the quarterback, Chris, he pays a price here.
Interesting formation, as you say. All 4 receivers to the wide side. Nobody over here. Then he has to hold on to the ball. The secondary does an excellent job of swallowing up the intended receivers, allowing Brian Clark to come through with the sack. But very interesting. A lot of times when you see them flood one area, they'll put one lone receiver trying to get a man-on-man cover backside.
Brian Clark with his first sack of the season. 5th for Calgary tonight. And enough to push Ottawa out of scoring range. They'll have to punt. Fleming running the clock down. 3, 2, 1, and the ball is away. And a high, deep punt. Out of bounds, perfectly angled, no return as that goes out of bounds at about the 10-yard line of Calgary. Next Saturday, Sports Saturday, winds up the Canadian Track and Field Championships with coverage beginning at 2 Eastern. Don Whitman, Michael Smith, and Ron McLean. With that, followed by 3 hours from the World Aquatic Championships in Montreal, featuring the men's 10-meter diving and synchro swimming's team-free combo event. That's July 23rd. Here's Burris now. throwing across the middle, and Brent Ralph, this young rookie making his first catches ever in the CFL tonight, continues to be a receiver who moves the sticks. 4 catches, 4 first downs.
He's being the go-to guy for Henry Burris in times of trouble. He finds number 11.
Calgary down by 15 points. They need 2 big scores here. Burris in the hurry-up offense, throwing wide side. Nearly intercepted, intended for Gerald Harris, making his CFL debut here tonight. And Dave Donaldson, who's come in for the injured Deshaun Austin, with a big play there on defense.
Well, they haven't gone to Gerald Harris. He came out of BC. They want to get a look at him as a wide receiver. This is a tough throw, way across the field. The ball hangs up. That allows Dave Donaldson to even have an opportunity to come back for 1. Secondly, almost had an interception.
2nd down and 10. 6 receiver set, Calgary. Burris, 3-man rush. They drop 9, Ottawa does. And Burris finds a hole. Jermaine Copeland with the catch in a gain of 16 for a Calgary first down.
And I like the way that Henry Burris moves around. He moves around and he creates a little doubt in the rushers of the Renegade defense. Steps back up in the pocket. That allows Copeland to find a hole in the zone.
Burris again throwing wide side. Harris has it this time, breaks the tackle, and dragged out of bounds by the rookie Greg Moss. So a 13-yard gain on the play. Another first down for Calgary. Time not on their side. 3:29 to go in the 4th quarter.
A little bit more zip on this pass to the. Of course, he's not throwing it from the far, but he just gets it right there. Donaldson playing off. Harris showing a little bit of elusiveness, shaking off the Donaldson tackle.
Burris, quick drop, throwing across the middle, and Nick Lewis loses his helmet but holds on to the football, stretching for another yard, and they'll mark this gain at 4.
And you see Henry Burris again going with the hurry up, trying to get the calls. Now when he's in his hurry up, all the plays he calls, Mark, are his own.
Oh, we saw him move the ball downfield in the end of the first half when they scored that touchdown in the same hurry up offense. Can he do it again? Twice. Burris across the middle, intended for Lewis, and he holds on, takes a hit from Corey Banks, and another first down for Calgary. 2:46 to go as we hit the 3-minute warning here in Frank Clair Stadium. Henry Burris has a special fan here tonight. Steve Goldman making his first return to this stadium since he was fired as the Rough Riders head coach back in '91. Goldman went on to become the offensive coordinator at Temple University in Philadelphia, and in a terrific story in today's Ottawa Citizen by Matt Sakaris, Goldman talks of how he turned a young freshman named Henry Burris into a starter in his very first year at Temple. And here's Burris trying to make some magic here. It's incomplete. The ball was on the money, intended for Gerald Harris, but incomplete. And it was Steve Goldman who told Roy Shivers in Calgary to put this man, Henry Burris, on their neg list because he's something special, and Shivers took full advantage of that. And Goldman, who now works as a financial investor in the Philadelphia area for Smith Barney, also takes care of Henry Burris's paychecks, and they're quite a bit bigger this year with that new contract he signed. Burris trying to make something here. 2nd and 10. Back to pass, stepping up. Pumps, can't find a receiver. Now he rolls out, buys more time, throws downfield. It's intercepted. The rookie, Greg Moss, with his first CFL interception to snuff that Calgary drive.
And again, a situation where I like the fact that Henry gets to the outside, but he throws the ball away. Now, whether this is, again, a communication thing where he expects Gerald Harris to break it to the sideline, I think you got to throw it to numbers. He's not throwing it to numbers. He's throwing it to a spot. Harris is thinking he's throwing it to him. And as a result, another big turnover by Henry Burris.
I think you're right. As we look at the replay again from the end zone, I thought Harris could have maybe gone harder to the ball.
Well, it's another story, too. Maybe, though, when they break the film down, they're going to find out which players are giving up on going after the football. It's all a matter of who wants it more. You always heard that old saying.
Well, nobody wants it more than this guy, putting so much pressure on himself. Tom Higgins said yesterday, I just told him to relax. Hand off up the gut, and it's piled up. Ronick with the ball. And let's revisit your Gillette game notes, sir.
Well, I think we had some pretty good ones, and one of the things we talked about was the ability to recognize the defense and to get that man Josh Ronick involved in the offense. Boy, I tell you, Kerry Joseph's just done that. 205 yards from scrimmage, a couple big runs, 60 to 66-yarder. Nice job at Kerry to recognize and burst no rhythm. We talked about hot and cold. 6 series with no first downs.
Joseph rolling right, throwing wide side, wide open. It's Jason Armstead as he slips out of bounds for a first down, Ottawa.
And a good indication of the strength of Kerry Joseph's arm as he turns around and fires a long pass cross field to a wide open Jason Armstead on the far sideline. Turns it up, picks up a first down and a fresh set of downs with 1:57 left on the clock. I think Calgary's got to be a little aggressive here on defense. They got to go after the football if you want any chance of trying to win this football game.
They've got to get the football back for their offense, force a turnover, something that this Calgary defense has not done much of this year. Handoff up the middle, conservative football, protecting the ball. It's Ronick again, and he's tackled at the 30-yard line by Brian Clark.
Well, conversely, we want to talk about what Calgary had to do. We said they had to cash in the red zone. They got 2 touchdowns and a field goal. The fact is, though, that Kerry Joseph has kept him off the football field. And on defense, you got to make Kerry a pocket passer. Joseph, 332 yards passing, 59 yards rushing, and he has really done a nice job of avoiding the rush and taking exactly what the defense gives him.
Nice job on your Gillette game notes again tonight.
Well, it's a good shape.
2nd down and 10. Rolling right. Joseph looking. He'll hold on to the football, find a hole, and slide to the 40. A late hit on the play and a flag as the Ottawa quarterback goes down close to a first down.
You just mentioned the fact that he'll take what the defense gives you. He's got such uncanny ability to get to the outside. We saw him do it against Montreal in the
Major
fourth
foul,
quarter.
unnecessary roughness, Calgary number 38. 15-yard penalty.
They're going to call George White on the penalty, but he's trying to roll out. He's looking to go downfield, but he's got 2 personal blockers in front of him. You see Abraham Khan in front of him, 65. Josh Ronick's there, and there's just a late hit. Nothing serious, but they're always going to call it because when the quarterback slides feet first, you're not allowed. You have to tag him. You're not allowed to kind of dive on him or lead with your head.
It's pretty tough when you're a defender, though, and you've already committed yourself.
Well, and especially when you're looking at the scoreboard and you get a little frustrated.
Look at the time of possession here tonight. Ottawa monopolizing the clock here on offense with 1:30 to go. First down. Handing off. Ronick hit hard. It's George White making first contact. And it's a very short gain on the play. How about these Renegades, Chris? They're now about to go 2-2 into a second-place tie with the Toronto Argonauts. Who would have thought that with all the doom and gloom to start this season?
And who would have thought back then? Because you looked at the projected standings. Almost everybody to a team picked Ottawa dead last. They have come out surprising teams. They had a great comeback. I think that was such an inspirational game for this team to create belief.
Right.
Then they had the game in BC where they had basically the lead at halftime. They squandered it through penalties in the second half. Here they've just maintained it, and they're growing stronger, and they're calling an excellent game on offense and playing tough defense.
Yes, and they've had a tough schedule to start this season, taking on Edmonton, taking on the BC Lions and the Montreal Alouettes. Not easy, and here they are at 500.
Well, and you know it looks good on guys like Joe Paupau, who was left hanging in the offseason. Not sure if he's going to even have a job. Didn't say nothing, bit his tongue. He could have went on a rampage and said, you know what, I should deserve to be treated better, but he didn't say anything. He believes, you know what, faith and family. Worked out for him. He brings over some key people. You mentioned one of them, the offensive coordinator, Greg Marshall on defense. They've created a new attitude here.
You know, there are critics who say his humanity is a soft spot in the game of pro football, but you know what, you're right, Chris. He has built a family here in Ottawa. This team is very tight. Calgary went after that one, but didn't get it as Fleming hits it. Rambo takes the bouncing ball at his own 12-yard line. No return there as the punt cover is right there. Well, we've got one last installment of our mic'd up feature tonight, featuring Jason Kralt.
Hey, Room Dog. Why'd you turn up the field, though? Hey, you should be running back, no? Okeechobee, what's up, kid? How's your wife? Number 4 is in the game. He's a fullback. Okay? Hey, you're catching up to me now. You're catching up to me now. Gotta make a pick now. Gotta do something. Haven't done anything.
That was a big play, though.
Jason Kralt keeping everybody loose.
Well, I think he knows he's on camera.
Play action hitch pass. Brent Ralph. Look at Brent Ralph breaking tackles. Every catch he's made tonight has been a first down for this football team.
You know what? Everything he's done is being yards after the catch. He's shown breakaway speed. He's shown breaking tackle ability. And he's shown a lot of heart when he catches that football. This is a pleasant surprise. I mean, you got to look for positives out of the game film. I'm sure one of them will be the play of Brett Ralph.
What a great pick. 6th round. Didn't even play football last year in Alberta. Burris stepping up, beats the pressure, wants to go deep. Pumping. Now look at the arm throwing deep for Copeland, and it's too far. As Corey Banks was right there step for step.
Mark, as I'm watching this play unfold, the only guy that is waving at Henry Burris is Copeland. Other receivers are stopping. They are looking at him. They're not coming back to the ball. They have quit. This is not a good thing. If I'm breaking the film down, I see one. I should see 4 hands waving to try and get me the football.
That was basically his only option. This team, with 27.6 seconds and the game out of reach, is looking for something desperate, something big, not guys hooking and curling at 5 and 10 yards.
Well, even if they hook and curl at 5 and 10, you see your quarterback in trouble, you got to readjust. Rob Crefo in the booth here with us, he tells us that all the time.
Pressure, ball away, and it's Copeland making the catch and then reaching for that first down marker in what is a desperate situation for the Stampeders. We're about to fall to 1 and 2. Now, what do you make of the reaction back in Calgary to this team that's new ownership? They spent lots of money on some star players like Burris and Copeland. And they've got him. There's a fumble. And Joffrey Reynolds picks it up. Tries to make something out of this.
Oh, what
Look at him go. He's the banger.
2 stiff arms. He just sheds a tackle, turns what should have been a big loss into a big gain. And Mark, to answer your question, the one word that comes to mind for the fans back in Calgary, patience. Don't get excited. Steve Barretta will have this offense firing on all cylinders. Remember, Henry Burris, it's only his 3rd game. He's working with new receivers. They'll get it worked out. This is a good football team. They're just not working together right now.
Patience, the buzzword in Calgary, where the expectations are so high. Here's Burris throwing to the wide side. It's complete, and Brent Ralph with a little pitch out to Rambo out of bounds. They'll have a first down, but that's the last play of the football game. As the 16,000 fans who paid for a ticket tonight stand and give their ovation to Kerry Joseph and the Ottawa Renegades, who even their record to 2-2 this season. 2 wins at home, and a team that is raising eyebrows across the Canadian Football League. And the Calgary Stampeders falling to 1-2.
A team of individuals that are playing as a team, and they got chemistry. And you talk a lot about the fact is, if you've got chemistry, you can have a great nucleus of players and a great future. And I think that's what they're building in Ottawa right here. I like the offense. I love the defense. Special teams did their job, and they're hungry, and they're making plays.
The fans here have a good football team, and as Lonnie Gleberman was saying in the pregame show, they're just going to keep working hard to get the word out, to rebuild the support of Ottawa football fans. The Renegades winners tonight, 33-18 over the Calgary Stampeders, as we join Elliott.
Thank you, Mark. With Kerry Joseph, you know, tonight came out in the hurried up offense. Why does that work so well for you guys? Maybe we're going to start seeing more of it.
Well, we just try to just come and set a tempo with fast-paced game and try to wear them down. And then toward to the back end of the game, we start to see they start to get tired, and we start to go out and make some plays.
Do you like that much more? Would you like to see more of that?
Yeah, it is good. I mean, we like to go out and try to get a tempo going, and we get into a rhythm, so it's good, and we just try to continue to work our offense.
You know, Kerry, you guys are trying to turn on the fans here, 16,000 tonight. Do you think that maybe the fans will get the message that this is a football team that could be worth watching at home because you guys are 2-0 here?
They're going to come out. Fans are going to come out. They're going to continue to support us, and I mean, we're thankful for the support we got tonight, and we're going to keep winning for them so they can come out.
Thank you, Kerry.
All right, welcome.
Mark?
Thank you, Elliot. A humble and gracious winning quarterback, Kerry Joseph, guiding his football team to its second home victory in a row, a commanding 33-18 win tonight over Calgary.